Well, good evening, everyone. You are watching the Back Talk Bros. I am the K in Back Talk Bros. I am Keys, and Gooch should be with us here shortly, hopefully. And Aaron may join us tonight as we recap the Chiefs' Week 14 loss to who did we play this week? The Bills, and we preview the Chiefs' Week 15 game against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. A lot of smoke and noise coming out of New England about whether Bill Belichick will be back with the Patriots after next season. And you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And speaking of fire, we're already starting out with fire. We got Knight with us, Knight and Holly with us. Holly, Knight, it's good to see you guys. And I just realized that saying that backwards sound like I said Holy Night. So we're kicking off the holiday season properly, apparently, whether on purpose or accident. But anyway, want to thank you guys for joining us here. As I said, Gooch should be with us shortly. You guys know how it goes. Aaron's having some, I would say family issues that he has to take care of right now with Aaron and Liz's new dog. And so maybe he'll be with us tonight. Maybe he won't. But anyway, we're going to move on one way or the other. And guys, make sure that you put your questions, comments, whatever you guys want to talk about tonight in the chat. Go ahead and let us know. Last Wednesday got a little crazy there. And Knight starting us off where we left off last Wednesday night. Been a busy day. Helped the wife make 10 dozen chocolate chunk cookies. That might be enough to get Gooch in here ASAP. But yeah, Holly, I don't even know what it's Guardia, something like that. Some issues going on there. So Aaron is giving the new dog a bath and some other things, and he's got to eat before he goes to work. And you guys know how it goes. So anyway, yeah, always great to help out the wife. It's always great if she lets you taste test some of the cookies. Yes, Holly, that's it. So anyway, yeah. Oh, you send them to family for Christmas. Well, Knight, I hope that we're family and everyone in the chat as well. I hope you consider all of us family. And we can all drop you our addresses. I know, Holly. Yeah, I knew how to spell it. I looked it up when Aaron was talking about it, but yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it. My dogs that I had when I was growing up were fairly healthy for the most part, except for one that I got for my birthday in third grade, and I remember it because it's the only year I had like a or birthday party, and they put this pet store in right next to the movie theater. Great, great product placement there. And we were like waiting for the movie to start. We went over and we were looking at dogs and everything else. And I fell in love with this dog. We watched the movie, ended up coming back and getting him. And then he had a bunch of like health issues right from the start. But outside of him, it was mostly pretty much no problem at all. But yeah. Dan Andrews, Dan Talks Football, is with us in the chat. Make sure you guys check out his channel as well. He's live Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Central, or as I call it, Arrowhead time. Dan also puts out daily content, or mostly daily, I believe, right? And he does a game, a live stream during every Chief game, and he does the play-by-play for those as well. So yeah, check out Dan's channel. And yeah, Dan, glad you could make it with us here, even if you have to come in and out a little bit. That's probably what Gooch will do when he gets here. Uh, yeah, Holly's right. Knight, we don't want the parasites. We want the cookies. And we'll just leave it at that. And yeah, so some of you guys were over, and they might still be going. Chief Concerns with Jason Dunn and Marcus Dash had on a former NFL official, and we're asking him some questions. Hey, Daryl, glad to see you. Daryl's with us. Hey, Daryl, make sure you give Knight your address. He's sending all of us cookies. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, if you guys didn't watch that, go over when you get a chance and check out that episode. Some a little bit of enlightening stuff. Is it Jim Donahue? Jim Donna something. Sorry, kind of a Greek sounding name. But former NFL official. They asked some good questions. I asked 15 questions in the chat. And some form or another, they only asked them 2 or 3 of them. But so that was a little bit of a bummer because I had some great questions and I was interested in hearing the answers to them. But nonetheless, maybe they'll have them back on another time and ask them some of those other questions. But yeah, so we will get into Bill's recap here soon. If Gooch doesn't make it, I'll just start my recap without him. But hopefully he gets in here in time. You guys know the magic words to get Gooch onto the show. So, yeah. It's been kind of a frustrating couple of weeks, right? You know, I try to keep things realistic. I try not to be too pessimistic, and I try to not be so optimistic that like I'm not realistic. Holly's saying the magic words here. But yeah, it's been kind of a frustrating season, and I think we all understand that where things stand with the defense. This is probably Harrison Butker's best season in the NFL. The best defense we've seen under Steve Spagnuolo, that we've seen during the Patrick Mahomes era. Even can we say the Andy Reid era in Kansas City? And the reality is that we got a good deal of free agents coming up this next offseason. And, this defense, we're going to be missing some pieces next year. So it is likely that the defense takes a step back or two next season. So the hope is that the offense continues to take steps forwards and maybe we have a top 8-10 defense and a top 8-10 offense next year in the ways that matter, right? Because the Chiefs offense by numerous statistics still looks good. The biggest issue, right, is, well, we already know the 2 biggest issues are drops and penalties. And, I think Holly hit on a lot of Chiefs fans' frustration. One of them being there's a pressure to not waste 1 year of Mahomes' career, right? Like that's the first pressure, is to not waste a year of Mahomes' career, because we all know that he is chasing Brady for rings, and whether that's right or not, he has to at least get close to Brady to be considered by a consensus as the greatest of all time. And so that's a pressure in and of itself. There's another pressure in knowing that Travis's years are limited, right? And for the most part, he's a likable guy. So you want to see the team win while Travis is still here. And I think those are the two biggest pressures. Maybe there's a third one in that, Andy's not a spring chicken either. So you don't really want to see uh a year of his coaching career so-called wasted. And depending on the perspective, you might not consider it wasted no matter what happens anyway. Um and, and so it's hard as a fan. It's interesting as a fan. It's we've had lows and we've had high highs, right? Depending on where we became a fan of this team. I know for me it was like 1989. I know I'm not the only one, probably not even in the chat, who became a fan around 1989. So, we've been through a lot. We've had some really low lows. We've obviously hit some really high highs. And, like there's been a lot of growth I know that I've went through as a fan. I had my stages where I was hitting walls or throwing things. Like that's where I started out as a fan. To where I am today. Uh, and so, but we keep getting pushed into different directions where it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of provoked into growth, right? Because of different situations. Like this season, it's its own season now. Like we're at least forced to confront our fandom and any weaknesses we might have in it that is triggered by this season and all that it is, right? All that this season is. But the hard thing is like it's a balance though. Because as I just said, we're going to lose some guys mostly on the defense, right? We might lose a few guys on offense, but it's not really going to be guys that people care about. The assumption is that MVS is going to get cut. Uh, CEH probably won't be back. And then from there, it might be a backup offensive lineman or two, maybe Blake Bell. It's not going to be guys that, as fans, that, we're emotionally attached to unless Travis just shocks us all and retires. And so, but on the defensive side, we already talked. We're gonna lose a guy or two, or maybe three or four, and we might lose one or two starters. There's a good chance we're gonna lose either Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed, or maybe both. And so there's still that moment of fandom where we have to appreciate the team that we have in front of us right now. We talk about seasons of life. This is a literal football season. Even our seasons of life. We can become so blind at looking towards the goal, towards looking towards the future, of getting focused on the future. For the football season, it's getting the 1 seed. For a lot of us, it's winning the Super Bowl or making the Super Bowl. For a lot of us in life, depending on where you're at in life, it may be home ownership for someone. Like that's your goal, that's your fixation. It might be a promotion at work, whatever it is. We can become fixated on whatever that next thing is that we forget all the moments and all the days to really appreciate them. It's like, I don't know. I think back to high school. I think, I can't remember the play now. Was it Our Town? Someone can tell me in the chat. Arthur Miller play. I think it's the one I'm thinking of, where like the person dies and they get to come back for like one and relive one day, you know, and they were warned, you know, pick an ordinary day. I think the character wanted to come back for like their birthday, and they were warned, pick an ordinary day. You know, that'll be enough. Like, your birthday is going to be such an overwhelming day. An ordinary day has enough in it, you know, and so it's like trying to stay grounded here. Of yeah, you know, we have a focus. We want to see the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. We want to see them win the Super Bowl. You know, a lot of people think that we have to have the number one seed so we can play at home or whatever, you know, whatever the case is, to where we can become so fixated on that we do not appreciate every game. We do not appreciate the entirety of the season. And next year, you know, we're without this player or that player, and it's just a complete letdown. And we realize, oh man, you know, I should have appreciated that version of the team more. So it could be Holly, it could be the death of a salesman. Like I said, it was high school, so you know, we're talking what, 25 years? It's probably that. I don't know. I think it was an Arthur Miller play though, but you get the point. Holly's probably right. Holly says for her it was the 1980s. And you know, Knight says even in an off year like this is no waste of Mahomes. He will learn and adapt. He's proven he can do that. Yeah, you know, it's like I've always said, Mahomes is like a parasite. Like if you do not kill it, it will adapt, it will get stronger, and you are screwed. Gooch, we're so happy to have you with us. Gooch, how's it going, brother?
It's going on, man. How you doing?
Oh, you know, just going off on a tangent.
It's all normal. Okay, that's good.
Oh, so Gooch, you ready to get into things? You want to say anything to start out with? I had my tangent. You can
Hey,
go on
Holly.
yours.
Hey, Daryl. No, because I'm in the middle of recording something called Unpopular Opinion. And I think if I gave too much about it, if I spoke about it now, it would give away what the whole thing was about. So we can just start.
All right. Well, let's see here. Let's start with our offensive review, Gooch. What went well? What worked? What players stood out in a positive way for the Chiefs' offense in the loss to the Bills?
Uh, Stood out for not being there, Pacheco, because we really didn't have a run game. Kelsey did his thing. Rice stood out again, seven catches on 10 targets, um, and 70 yards, which is interesting because I think he's 350 yards away from being the first rookie wide receiver to hit 1,000 yards under Andy. 249 yards from beating Deshaun Watson's record of 913 as a rookie under Andy. So that's saying something. I still think the offense is starting too slowly. You know what really sticks out to me that no one's talking about because we're talking about the Mahomes meltdown, which really wasn't a meltdown at the referees. It was the frustration about the offense in general. What stood out to me is how well Wanye Morris
Yeah.
played at left tackle in fill-in for Donovan Smith. Like it was really quiet on that side of the ball, which is good. Mahomes was only sacked once. I mean, and that kid's a rookie. So if he's playing decently, Donovan Smith, when he's healthy, is an average left tackle or above average left tackle. When he's hurt, he's terrible. And if this kid who's a rookie is coming in and playing and even giving you almost what Donovan Smith is giving you, I mean, you're seeing something. So that's a surprise. That stood out to me. But the offense is still starting slow, which, I mean, it just, okay. So, yes, me with an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to throw this out there. And I think we as Chiefs fans, and this is part of it, so you have to watch it when I get it finished and we can get it uploaded. But we as Chiefs fans are spoiled. This is the year that was supposed to be last year. The only difference is we're getting it now. And we're still expecting, because even me and Keys and Aaron, the only thing different from this team is Juju Smith-Schuster going out and Rashee Rice coming in reality. We're still not talking about the fact that Tony didn't play a lot of snaps with the Giants before he got to us at the end of the season. So he probably wasn't getting a lot of the coaching for the mistakes that he's making. Maybe he was a headache and he was talented and they just didn't want to deal with the headache and they shipped him out. But I'm just saying, we're still 8-5. There's still a really good chance we make the playoffs. It's growing pains. But I won't get off on a tangent. I was getting ready to. But those are the people that stood out to me. How about you? Oh, and what worked well was the fact that they're giving Rice more snaps. And he's utilizing the you can see him getting comfortable in the same area that Juju is getting comfortable. And they're giving him the ball, and which is freeing up Travis a lot more, which is what you and I have talked about before. Like if they just let him run and they free up some of that space where they actually have to cover him, Travis will get going back to doing Travis things. Okay, that's enough. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean you basically stole everything there. Increased snaps for Rashee Rice, right? And we had a McKinnon appearance. He didn't get hurt again, so that's good that he didn't re-injure himself there. I didn't think CEH looked too bad for what I was expecting to see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This game has me kind of at a loss for words here. So
I did like to see the fight in them coming back because, in all honesty, I didn't really get to watch as much of the game as I wanted to. But when I was listening to it in the midst of all that, because I was working, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get away from us, and they're gonna blow us out, and it's gonna be ugly." Like when we went down 14, this is how much I missed. Like they were. Of course, Buffalo was up 7-0, and we were driving. And then I had to go handle some stuff. So then I come back and it's 14-0. I'm like, 14-0? Wait, we didn't score? Like, not even a field goal? Like, I was like, what the heck happened? So the fact that that they did put points on the board, I mean, they fought back from a deficit. It's all growth. I can appreciate that.
yeah. So Knight says, still way too many bandwagon fans that want the Chiefs to fire Matt Nagy. You know, I'm kind of like exhausted with like this whole thing, like the whole Nagy EB thing, because, and I'm not discounting that EB, you know, held players accountable, held coaches accountable, but it's kind of like, and I understand the changes from last year to this year are you have Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator instead of Eric Bieniemy. You have, and I'm gonna run down all of them. You have Rashee Rice, Richie James, a second year in this offense for Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. Was this Justin Watson's second or third year? Second year for Justin Watson and MVS too, right? In this offense, you replaced concrete block feet with Donovan Smith, who even injured has still played basically at the same level for much less money. On the opposite side, though, you have Juwan Taylor, who's more athletic and has basically played at the same level as Andrew Wiley, except for a lot more money, and with penalties, and the run blocking for both of those guys hasn't been as good. There's been a drop off there. You have Blaine Gabbert instead of Chad Henne. You have Connor Embry, college running back, who the Chiefs mysteriously started padding his bio this summer when they moved him into the wide receiver role, and now list him as say that he played wide receiver in college for the University of Kansas, where clearly the University of Kansas, every other source, and even the Chiefs' own bio before this summer had him listed as a halfback. Those are realistically and you can throw in there the Chiefs keeping 7 wide receivers, having a big wide receiver room. Justin Ross actually being on the 53-man roster. Those 7 things, and maybe I forgot something. Those are basically the differences between last year's offense and this year's offense. But one of the things that keeps throwing me, and I keep hammering this offense has been out of rhythm for drives and stretches of games. Every season, the EB was the offensive coordinator as well. I'm not saying it's an EB problem because I'm not saying it's a Matt Nagy problem. I'm saying there's a common denominator, and his name is Andy Reid, and he's the one who's ultimately, anyway, responsible for holding his coaches accountable and his players accountable. But it's not like EB or Nagy, I don't know. It's just kind of frustrating for me because we get into this, before it was who's calling plays. Even Mitch and Jeff Schwartz have made it clear. Andy has been calling the plays since 2014. Since he came to Kansas City, he's been calling the plays. Can we please stop talking about this? EB clearly brought something to this, to this offense. It's just a question of what we're missing, but we don't really know what all we're missing. And it's worse when you have 7 wide receivers, two of them playing basically their first NFL action in Rashee Rice and Justin Ross. And 3 of them, this being their second year in the offense. Juju was a veteran, he's gone, but Juju's not lighting things up in New England. You basically replaced him with a cheaper, younger, more athletic, healthier receiver who's somewhat similar in Rashee Rice. And it's like, at the end of the day, the wide receiver room looks to be the biggest problem. But then you got a rookie wide receiver coach. But on the flip side of things, you have offensive tackles. And we, on one hand, we knew it was going to take some time. People were wanting to give Orlando Brown a 3rd season to allow him to adjust to our offense. Yet halfway through the season, it's their first season. It's get rid of Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor. The penalties have been an issue for the offensive tackles. I fail to see how that's Matt Nagy or Eric Bieniemy's responsibility. That's Andy Heck's responsibility. And don't tell me that the offensive coordinator should be holding, his coaches accountable, because Andy Heck is a freaking veteran offensive line coach. He shouldn't need an offensive coordinator to hold him accountable, to hold his players accountable. He just shouldn't. He's an NFL veteran who's played in the NFL. He's an NFL veteran offensive line coach. He's not missing, in my opinion, he's not missing Eric Bieniemy or Matt Nagy is like doing something to where Andy Heck no longer knows how to coach offensive line. And Knight points out penalties team wide, are killing drives, not just offensive penalties. Okay, yeah, that's true. Who is the person who's ahead of both the offense and the defense? Who's ahead of the whole team? Andy Reid is. It's not like this is a this year issue. It's just that we've always been able to get past these things being issues. Or they haven't been so untimely in when the penalties have been called. Or if they had, we still had the ability. Maybe it's just because defenses are playing different, right? It could be as simple as that defenses are playing different. Offense throughout the NFL is down. Offense is down. So maybe it's that defenses are just playing that much better, but then we still have some of these other issues. Like, if people stop and think about it, okay, teams for the last 2 or 3 years, one of the reasons I was okay with moving on from Tyreek, because you were going to have to turn into a really big yak team, which granted he would be very helpful for. But, the biggest way we used him was stretching the field vertically and horizontally. But teams were playing to take away the big plays. We knew this was an issue. Mahomes, for his credit, has gotten way better about it over the last couple of years. We've been screaming for years, take the play, take the play, take the play, right? Take the play that's there. Stop looking downfield. Take the play that's there. Because teams want you to go 12, 15, 18 plays. They want to see you go 75 yards down the field, because they know if they do that, that's what bend but don't break defenses do. They know the chances that any offense is going to be disciplined enough to not commit an untimely penalty, to not have a turnover, or not have a drive stall once you get into the red zone and the space is compacted, is much smaller. I'm just saying. I'm done with my rant here. All this because Knight started talking about people wanting to fire Matt Nagy. And hey, maybe they need to go a different direction next season. I'm not saying that. I am saying, and I've been in favor for the last couple of years now, of Andy going back to a veteran staff, going back to a bigger staff. Back in the day, right? He had Brad Childress. He had, I forget who else, but he was bringing in old coaches that were getting fired. Maybe he was, maybe there was a little nepotism involved there. He was giving some guys some jobs, but it seemed like the offense worked a lot better when he had brought in some of those old guys and had a bigger staff, had more voices, some that he trusted. Whatever the case was, it's clear the defense is playing top notch, and they have a veteran staff. Steve Spagnuolo's coaching staff is a veteran staff, and it's no surprise that it's gotten better once we got rid of Andy's son. And even though that wasn't a thing that he wanted to do, that situation in itself is unfortunate. But him moving on and some of the other moves, we have a veteran defensive staff. Our offensive staff, we have a veteran tight end coach. We have a veteran offensive line coach. We have a veteran offensive coordinator. But the running back coach, the wide receiver coach, that's kind of been the frustrating part of this. And again, I appreciate Andy wanting to give people, chances and working up. But like I said earlier this season, why couldn't you make Connor Embry the assistant wide receiver coach this year, have a legitimate wide receiver coach in there, and let him actually learn from a wise veteran wide receiver coach instead of throwing him a crap sandwich and pushing him in the deep end and saying, hey, eat this sandwich, it'll save you. I'm done ranting here, Gooch. I think. I heard a pin drop.
Oh, because you said you're done and you started again, so I was just sitting there. I was just waiting.
I wasn't planning to rant. Knight says mental mistakes still a problem. Gooch, am I wrong? Have they not been a problem the last few years? We've overcame and we win.
This team is being flagged really no more than normal if you look over the previous seasons. We're about on par for the course. You never hear them during the game. Man, this is the most an Andy Reid team has ever been flagged, because it's not. Because this is what we do. The difference is that when we had Tyreek, we could make it up in one play in 37 seconds or whatever. When we had Juju, you had another veteran pass catcher who wasn't learning the offense and could find soft spots in the zone. He was a veteran, albeit not always healthy, but he was sure-handed, and he knew how to play the defenses playing against him. I don't know anything about the coaches. Fire Matt Nagy is stupid, because you have to also understand that everything that we did last year, even though, yes, this is Andy's offense, teams have film on what we did exactly last year. So this year, they have to find different wrinkles for the same offense. So even though we're going to throw out there and say it's Andy's offense, everybody should know it, they change little things in it every year. Could be the same play with different 1, 2, 3 checkdowns as opposed to last year. And you're asking these guys, even the vets, to basically relearn the same offense with different outcomes and different looks. It's going to be hard. Sean McVay's offense is hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guys that are really offensive geniuses, their offenses, well, except for Shanahan's, because he got his from his dad, but that's, neither here nor there. But even still, like, it's hard. And I wasn't saying get rid of Donovan Smith. He's on a 1-year contract anyway. I was just simply saying, like, if Wanye is playing at the same level as Donovan, let Donovan get healthy. He's playing through injury. If Wanye's good, let him roll a few games until Donovan Smith is healthy, and then, put the vet back in, especially in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to discount it. He's playing about the same as Orlando Brown for what, 11 million cheaper, Keys?
Yeah, whatever it is, it's something.
And then firing Matt Nagy as I think is a stupid. It's the same as all those people that want Belichick out of New England. You're struggling. This is Matt Nagy's real first year. Somebody put in there that he was the offensive coordinator when Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns. That's right. But during that season, the one thing you don't see anymore is you don't see Andy going to sit next to him. Andy was pointing stuff out because Mahomes has that memory. The football changes every year. We were deep pass all the time, and now Mahomes has turned into more Brady-esque, taking what the defense gives him, doing the checkdowns, hitting things over the middle. I think we forget, because we are spoiled, that we were supposed to be rebuilding. We won a Super Bowl and we're supposed to be rebuilding. And yes, somebody's going to throw out there, well, they've had 33 drops. Sounds like a lot, right? Until you think of this, probably 400 passes that were thrown. Now look at 33 drops in that context. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's everything with football is numbers and context and how you want to read them. 33 drops is a lot out of 100 passes, but out of 400, I mean, the timing of the drops, yeah, that probably sucks more. But somebody else did a thing, the MVS drop where he dropped that dead on touchdown where he was like trying to catch it over his head. So he was trying to catch it over his head with a visor on. Somebody actually did a poll or something like that, and even opposing teams said catching a ball like that in Arrowhead is catching a ball period at nighttime in Arrowhead is one of the hardest things they've ever had to do. And these are guys getting paid more than MVS.
That was Tyreek.
No, somebody else said it too.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the post I shared in the RGR.
Oh, no. Somebody actually asked other teams who said it was like hard as heck to catch balls because of how the lights are set up. Like some business actually did it or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I shared the link of that in the RGR Discord and on Twitter.
I mean, I don't know. I think you have to give it a year. Every team rebuilds. This is ours, and we're still 8-5. And if you want me to be honest, because of our expectations, and for those of us who haven't lived, but Keys has, and Keys can back me up on this, who haven't lived through the Brody Croyle and all them years, Tyler Thigpen, in all them years, like you guys, this isn't suffering. There are plenty of teams in the NFL right now would love an 8-5 record and have our struggles at this point. That's just my opinion. You still think that's a large number of drops and 400 passes? It's less than 10%.
Yeah.
And I still think, like, okay, and since we're talking about that, the people that are like the Sky Moore experiment is over. I don't think it is yet. The kid's he's still on a rookie deal. I don't know. I don't know. He has talent. The biggest issue with the Chiefs and the offense, I'm going to start with thank God Justin Ross is back if they're going to actually use him. But out of the 7 receivers we kept, 4 of them play the same position or have the same skill set. Kadarius Toney, Richie James, Sky Moore, like they all do the same thing. They all pretty much play the slot. They all pretty much, I mean, like your deep threat is MVS. Your mid to semi deep threat would be Justin Watson, but then you've got Travis. Like they all, like most of those guys play the slot in the middle of the field. Like you don't really have a variation of different guys that do different things. Most of them have the same skill set. And I just think it's easier to defend because really the only person you're really afraid of is MVS, which is why he gets held on every single play. But I'm through with my rant. 7% drop rate is quite high. Well, yeah.
Well, if we think that a 7% drop rate is quite high, let me just read this to you guys. Okay. This was before the season began. Charles Goldman in July gave the numbers for last season. How many drops did the current Chiefs wide receivers have last season? Okay. Last season, MVS dropped 9.3% of his passes, 5 drops, 49 receptions on 87 targets. 49 receptions on 87 targets with 5 drops. Justin Watson, 18.2% drop percentage. 4 drops, 18 receptions on 35 targets. Kadarius Toney, 8% drop percentage. 2 drops, 23 receptions on 28 targets. Sky Moore, 3.6% drop percentage. 1 drop, 27 receptions on 41 targets. Richie James with the Giants, 4.2% drop percentage, 3 drops, 68 receptions on 82 targets. And then it gives MBS or IMS or ISM, who didn't make the team and got traded to the Panthers. Rashee Rice at SMU had an 8.6% drop percentage, 9 drops, 98 receptions on 156 targets. And so, when you see those numbers, if we're going to say that 7% is quite high, it begs the question of what the hell Andy Reid and Brett Veach were doing. Especially bringing in a first-time wide receiver coach. Like, if we're saying 7% is quite high, they knew the numbers of those guys coming into the season, and they bring in a first-time wide receiver coach. Those are the guys that they bring in. They don't go after, D-Hop or Odell or anybody else. These are the guys they're sticking with, and they pair them with a first-time wide receiver coach. So what the hell happened then? Do those numbers shock you, Gooch?
It should, but it doesn't. Does that make sense? Like, I should be stunned by that because you're doing what? How many billion people are in the world, and you're playing a game that only 300 people can play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're elite. But if you eliminate the elite receivers, I think everybody's drop rate is around the same, in between 6 and 8 across the league. Although, again, I'm with you. A first-time wide receiver coach probably isn't getting the kind of respect that he needs from guys that have been, like, if you've never played receiver, how can you teach me anything? I'm not saying our receivers are like that, but you probably will have some people like that. And I think if you had a veteran coach who could give you some hints on, you can't teach hands, but you can give them drills to kind of help them work on securing the football as it's coming in. I think a vet coach could do that for you. And I think you trying to, which I can totally appreciate, giving a guy coaching experience so he can, do the job, this, that, and the other. But you can't push somebody in the deep end with these guys making millions of dollars and go, all right, teach them. You need somebody that they're going to respect and who's done it before. It can make it a little easier on them. That's rough. But no, the MVS one doesn't surprise me because I knew he had that one rare year where he didn't drop anything, but he's dropped stuff before. What does surprise me is Skies was so low. 3%, I think you said.
Yeah, it was somewhere
Watson's being high actually shocked me a little bit. But that could be why Brady didn't want him in Tampa. MVS, if you ever watch anything that me and Keys ever did on like the huddle or anything like that, none of us thought MVS was a wide receiver one. Like we never. We never. I think when we first signed him, we were like, all right, he's a good 3, maybe a 2. We big on trying to find somebody else. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's a really good question down at the bottom.
Yeah, who's thinking MVS should be in number one? Oh, by the way, Gooch, I wasn't saying that you were saying cut Donovan Smith. That's there's been a chunk of Chiefs fans out there, just like it's like one, he's injured, right? But two, at the very least, outside of the run game, outside of run blocking, he has been a much cheaper replacement for Orlando this year. And yeah, I think they were expecting to an extent to see Wanye look the way he's looked the last game and a half or so. All right, Scott asks, what is Kelsey's role as a leader on this team? Has that changed any with the whole Taylor thing? What do you think, Gooch?
There's so much that I could say here. So first, let me preface what I'm getting ready to say with somebody that takes the kind of beating that Travis has taken over the past 10 plus years. And I will never question their desire to suit up in a game where guys running 4'4", 4'5", 260 pounds of muscle hit you. Because I can tell you that I could probably do it for a couple of plays and then I'd be like, all right, I'm out. No, I'm done. What I will say is I think as a leader and as a voice, with what he's done and what he's accomplished in the NFL, when he speaks, people listen. But I also seem to think now that we've got a timeline on when they started dating, I think that he might be considering retirement a little more than he had been. I mean, he said it, but then someone made a comment that actually had me thinking that Kelsey does that play. And I don't know what podcast I was watching. Kelsey does that play, and it's a phenomenal play, and we get called offsides. And this guy who had played with or coached on the Chiefs or had been there, whatever, said he's seen 3 times that Mahomes has lost it. The one time when they lost to Brady in overtime, like he was mad, but he wasn't screaming or throwing his helmet. There was another game when they lost to the Titans. They said he basically abused a plastic water bottle, like he squeezed the life out of it, but he wouldn't say anything. And then this one, and maybe because of the play, he knows before anybody else that Kelsey is really considering retirement. And that was one of those plays that, because even he brought it up in his post-game press conference, like when he goes into the Hall of Fame, that play now doesn't get shown because it didn't count. Maybe he was so demonstrative because not because the refs called offsides, but because he's frustrated at wrong ran, not knowing what those guys are thinking. Kelsey might be retiring, then that play happens, and boom, we've got the flag. And it was more of a, hey, get your crap together, guys. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to anything else. And I think the Taylor thing has made Kelsey think like, I've made more money than I can really spend if done right the rest of my entire life. Now's the time to enjoy the spoils because he could do movies. Obviously, he could do SNL. He has commercials. He's got his 83 and Running Foundation. Got a girlfriend worth $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Just bought the brand sweetheart pad. I mean, I think it can affect it. Yes, that's what I think. Especially once you start getting it into your head, then you start thinking about it more and more. And I think I'm not saying he's saying that. I mean, meeting somebody you possibly could spend the rest of your life with, regardless, and you're doing something like that. Even just to quote his brothers, Jason's wife Kylie, like she wants um, Jason to quit while he can still get on the ground and play with his kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, but I think overall, as a voice and a leader on the team, I think that doesn't change. But I do think Travis is. This is going to sound bad. Take it with context. What I'm saying, I think his want to continue to go out there when he knows that he's young enough to still be able to do other stuff and be healthy and not have the aches and pains after a while is kind of eating away at him. Mitchell Schwartz had the back issue for a long time. Once he got out of football and lost the weight, he said he never felt better. He never thought about coming back, even though he could have. You know what I'm saying? It's just when you do one time and a man can see the end, sometimes it can take a toll on you mentally, not negatively, but you're just like, you know what, it's time. And this could be his last run. Which could be another reason why we're seeing more double tight ends and they're running those double motion with the tight ends and stuff, getting to a grade acclimated. Unless, oh, please, Lord. Oh, did you see? I'm bouncing around. Kid declared for the draft. Lord, let us get Alt's kid right here. He plays tackle. Okay, I'm done rambling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so obviously what didn't go well for the offense is Kadarius Toney not knowing how to line up on the line of scrimmage or behind the ball. Anything else that you would say offensively, Gooch, that didn't go well, didn't work on the offense, or any other player on the offense that stood out for the wrong reasons, other than perhaps Mahomes and some of that stuff that's already been talked about everywhere ad nauseum?
No, I think I'm good. Oh, you know what? Creed is getting called for a lot of offensive holding. I'm wondering if he's a little injured too, because you didn't hear that number get called a lot last year or at the beginning of the year. But the last few games, they've been hitting him with the offensive holding. So I'm just wondering if he's trying to compensate for something too.
I feel like, because I think for game days, it's good to follow both of the Schwartz brothers. I feel like at least one of them has been like going back and forth and basically pointing out that every one of Creed's holding calls is BS. But I could be wrong, because I'm saying that
Is
often.
it? Okay. It's just so rare to hear, like, you notice you don't hear a lot of Tooney and Trey, but I've heard Creed a lot
Right.
lately. And that interior is usually pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? So even when I hear it, when I'm listening to the game, I'm like, really? On Creed? I'm like, huh. Interesting. I may have to follow them, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't follow them, follow them. But especially on game days, it seems like at least one or the other will, generally have something, especially if there's an offensive line penalty like that. Um, but yeah, Knight's gonna let the dogs out and head to bed. Knight, have a good night, and we'll see you next time. But,
Seems like a lot of calls this year have been going against the Chiefs, almost like a vendetta.
it almost does feel that way, right?
Well, because just little simple things like, and I'm not even talking about the Bills game. I think somebody pointed out Jalen Waddle was lined up right where Kadarius Toney was. There was no call. Somebody else was lined up the same way, no call. Tackles taken off early, no call. But then we get hit a lot. And I don't know if it's. I'm not saying the NFL is scripted. But it's almost like when they sent the memorandum out to like watch the Chiefs offense, like that's all anybody's really been doing is when they've gotten our games, it's been a little more ticky tack than most. Now, granted, the ref shouldn't be the reason that you lose a game. There's plenty of reasons why you lost the game. Offense didn't show up first quarter. You know what I'm saying? Defense was leaking like a running faucet, until the second half, really, or late in the second quarter, all those things. But it just seems like you notice a lot more when your team is struggling, I guess. The Sheffers beef, Scott, that goes back to Travis saying he shouldn't have worked at a Taco Bell or something. And so.
Oh, now he said he shouldn't even be allowed to work at Foot Locker. Yeah.
And I put that in the same boat as Chris Paul and another referee that they get into it every single game. I think we have a winning record when he refs our game when he's a ref in our game. So
Yeah, it's now like 9-3, but the other thing is that it was the line judge who threw the flag to begin with, right? It's not like Carl Cheffers himself threw the flag; it was the line judge. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting hearing everything. It was interesting hearing the ref that Jason Dunn had on his show. It's we've heard from RG3, Matt Ryan, Dan Orlovsky, Mahomes himself, earlier in the week, and numerous people. So it does seem like while it's not required that a ref, gives a warning, it does seem that is very strongly the precedent in the NFL, which begs the question, if that precedent isn't followed, why not? Like there's got to be a reason for it. It is that who he is as a ref against every team. It's like one of the things that I pushed back on, kind of, not that my questions were really asked a whole lot, but in that chat. But one of the things I pushed back on is because, he was like talking about how we have a lot of young refs in the NFL right now. And I think we understand that. And one of the things he said was that he thought that communication was an area, that needed improvement. And, Carl Cheffers isn't a young ref. He's not a new guy. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of one of my big questions is he like this with every team? If that's, yeah, he doesn't have to do it, but if it's, if it's kind of an unwritten rule that refs do, is kind of some of his anti-KC bias there at play, if there is any. And I think there's enough ammo to where the fans already believe that Cheffers is out to get the team, that when you see Andy and Pat react the way they do, and Andy say the things he say, about not getting any warnings, and everyone coming out who did and say, this is normally what happens. The refs normally warn you, and that you can question it. But one of the things the ref that they had on the show did say was, if the player asks the ref, if the player actually does ask the ref, they are required to tell them. So if Tony does look at the ref, does look at the line judge and ask him, if he's good, the line judge has to tell him yes or no. That part he did say. Jason's guest did say he does have to if he is asked. He doesn't have to volunteer information, but you kind of get into this kind of sneaky political, kind of side speak of, okay, well, by the letter of the NFL law, he's not required to give a warning, but the precedent is that the refs will generally, usually throughout a game, communicate with coaches and players and give warnings. It begs the question why Cheffers didn't, why his crew didn't, why this game. And I think that Andy and Pat's reactions lend some credence to the natural fan thought of why that wasn't given, and that is Carl Cheffers is biased against the Chiefs. And Aaron, hey, Aaron's joining us here, guys. Aaron, glad you could make it in here. How's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good. Had to give the dog a bath. I'm sure Holly knows about Giardia.
Yep.
So yeah, this was the 5th day on her medication, so I had to go get her a bath and make sure she's all clean back there. And now I'm eating, so I will pipe up when I have something to add. But it's good to see you, Scott, Holly, Daryl.
Speaking of food,
make it out.
Yeah, and Knight was with us. He just left,
Hey,
so
Matt.
you just missed him.
Okay, bye, Matt.
Yeah, maybe he'll catch part of it.
And there's Hannah leading us
on
off
the
down the
replay.
food trail. No, it all depends.
Well,
hey, Hannah.
Aaron brought up food first, but yeah.
It all depends on how I feel, Hannah. Like, sometimes I like it separate, and then sometimes I just like to mix it. It depends. If it's a cone, then I'm licking both sides, so it's like kind of like a swirl already. I don't know. It's a tough call. Ice cream is one of those things, like, it really just got to how you feel in the moment, I think. Me personally.
Good
I would agree with
Hannah.
that.
Yeah, I'm way more partial to chocolate than vanilla. Liz is the vanilla fan. But yeah, have you had the grandma's chicken bake? I think it's Stover's.
No.
It's pretty good. That's what I'm having. It's like a casserole with some crumbs on top. It's got rice, vegetables, chicken, some kind of sauce that's really good. But yeah, I'll let you get back to football. And I'll pipe up when I have something.
Talking about parasites right into a food discussion. Holly, are you talking about us talking about Carl Cheffers and then going right into food?
That's what I thought.
All right, so for the offense, what's your show me's for this next game? What do you need to see? And you can go first, or I can go first, because I already know my big one.
All I need to see is I don't need petty Mahomes. I need pissed off Mahomes. That's what I want to see.
Oh yeah.
I think the last few times, another thing that I saw with that guy was that's almost the last time that Mahomes ever got angry. When he killed that water bottle or whatever, it was like they had just lost that game to the Titans. They never lost another game. And I'm just like, I tend to believe that Mahomes has taken this fine, even though he was basically talking to his team. Mahomes and Andy are taking this fine, and people are going to rally behind that, as in, like, okay, y'all picking on our quarterback, or you're picking on our head coach or our team or whatever, so we're going to have to step up and prove to y'all that we, yada, 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 we can actually win these games. I'm hoping that's the case. And that's all I really need to see. Just the offense not shoot themselves in the foot is the words I was looking for. And put up points. I think the only teams that scored 21 points on the Chiefs have beaten the Chiefs. So put up, 28 to 30. You know what I'm saying? It's the Patriots. This is the game where you remind people that you can be scary. And the AFC is definitely still up for the taking. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I need to see.
Yeah,
I definitely like that.
What's that?
I want to see you pissed off Mahomes and Andy. It should never be in the ref's hands.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody needs to start catching the freaking ball.
I think that I think we're basically all on the same page here. Like, for me, I have to see this anger and this pettiness be turned into something positive, like throughout this week and into the game. Like, to me, it's going to be much worse. Like, I'm going to be much more concerned if all this anger and all this pettiness does not result from a tremendously focused practice all week, working on every single fundamental, working on anything they need to work on to not get penalties. Like, if we come out and this game looks like a repeat of most of the other games, especially the ones they've lost, I'm going to feel a lot more concerned about their ability to close out the rest of the season, because you're going to have that pettiness. You have that pissed offness. You have that chip on their shoulders. And if there's not talent there or ability for them to use the energy that they're going to harness, right? If it's not there for them, I'm going to be really concerned. Like, because that's going to be my interpretation, that they simply do not have the talent. It doesn't matter how pissed off the offense is. It doesn't matter how focused they are. It doesn't matter how much they work on fundamentals. That ultimately what's lacking is talent and ability. Like, that'll be my biggest concern if this game looks like most of these other games. If they come out, like you said, Gooch, if they come out and you can tell, right, that they've had a Tom Brady type of practice, right, or maybe a Peyton Manning type of practice where everybody's getting their butt chewed by the quarterback, and the quarterback is the one who has taken the responsibility for holding everybody accountable, I highly doubt that on a Tom Brady team or a Peyton Manning team that there was anybody, coaching staff or player, who was holding the team accountable more than each of those guys. And instead of Pat expressing his anger in the way he did, maybe it's time that he starts to go that route too. Maybe
I think he will.
Maybe he's taken on the identity of his head coach a little too much, and he's been Mr. Nice Guy or too soft like Andy is. Maybe it's time for both of them to wake the hell up and start holding everybody accountable. Let's switch over to the defense, guys. What went well for the defense against the Bills? What worked for the defense? Any players on the defense who stood out in a positive way? Gooch?
Connor got his first pick. Shout out to the Rook. I'm just going to say the defense in general. We can moan and complain about them giving up 14 early. They gave up 17 the whole game. Basically 17 the whole game, 20 overall. But that'll win you games in the National Football League. So I have no complaints about the defense, really. Holding a team to 20 or less should win you games in the National Football League. It just should. I mean, if they're even as porous of a defense as the Vikings and were they playing the Raiders, that was 3-0. I mean, so even the worst defenses, like 20 points should win you games. So I like seeing Bolton back out there doing his thing. Karlaftis is one sack away from double digits. And the secondary still, while missing Brian Cook, still played tight. Diggs did he have more than 2 catches? And I heard Gabe Davis for more pass breakups and drops than catches, really. So, I mean, I have no issues with the defense. I think the whole defense played well. And I think it just worked.
Diggs had 4 receptions for 24 yards. His longest reception was 9 yards.
He was trying his damnedest to get under Snead's skin.
That's why he sent that. That's why he sent that tweet out to Mahomes before the game and deleted real quick that said hit his lineup at the end of the year. Diggs wants to come play.
Then he shouldn't be trying to get Snead to punch him.
No, you should, because that's 15 yards and possibly an ejection. You take the best corner or the second best corner, however you rate them, based on McDuffie and Snead, you get one of them out the game. You can abuse everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be trying to get you to punch me too. I know you're going to get kicked out.
Speaking of Snead, this is kind of impromptu, but let's go ahead and ask it. If you guys are Brett Veach and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, you guys are having your end of season meeting and you're making your plan for next season. Who are you franchise tagging? But 2, if you have to choose between Snead coming back or Chris Jones coming back, which would you pick?
Jones is back. Snead is gone. I think Snead, the reason being is because Snead's play is going to price him out of a contract that we can pay him. And I think we have done real well in finding defensive backs in the drafts that they believe they can pull another one and they'll just move McDuffie over to be Snead and maybe bring, especially if Cook comes back healthy, and bring Connor down to corner. That's how he's played it before. But unfortunately, Jones played one of those positions that you have to pay him. I think you, of all people, have been a proponent of you need somebody that can crash the middle and get the quarterback off his spot. And even if Jones is playing on the outside or whatever, the one thing he does or can do is get quarterbacks to move. So I think you pay the man maybe a short-term 2 or 3 year deal, $60-90 million. And you're going to have to figure out that other half of the secondary. I hope you get lucky. Or, yeah, because you can't franchise tag him because you're going to have to do extensions for Creed, for Trey. You're going to have to figure out Tooney. I mean, it's just a lot to do. And Mahomes count for $56 million against the cap next year.
Well, I think that's going to change. But, Aaron, what do you think?
Sorry,
If you were the one in charge.
Is that the new edition? Is that the new edition?
Yes. She's being a little crazy, but yes.
If you were in charge, Aaron, are you bringing, and you have to choose one, are you bringing back Chris Jones? Are you extending Chris Jones, or are you extending L'Jarius Snead?
I'd have to go Snead, honestly. Yeah, we like internal pressure, but I say re-sign Dana. He does great in the middle. I don't know why we ever put him on the outside again. Because he gets sacks in there. He beats the guards bad a lot of the time when he gets the one-on-ones. So I think we can do without Jones, even though he is one of the best players in the league. But he hasn't been too impressive this year. I think some of it has to do with not practicing and not going to training camp. And I don't think he's been in the shape he should be.
Holly, do you want another one?
Yeah, I'm actually, my answer is the same as Aaron's. I think there's multiple reasons. And that's with, as Gooch has said, I've been for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been the big proponent of
Thank you.
Interior pressure.
Liz, get off the camera. We're trying to conduct a show here.
She can't hear it.
She sees herself.
She's looking at herself, I think.
Liz, get off the camera.
Gooch is saying, Liz, get off the camera.
I wish I looked that good.
We do too.
Don't we all?
Leave your brother alone.
I didn't mean it the way Gooch said it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Steve.
she's a little crazy.
But you guys know for the last 3 or 4 years,
Yep.
I've been big on
Shit.
interior pressure.
That's what you get.
If you'd asked me last year, I probably would have told you Chris Jones without a
Boy.
doubt. But listen, I understand the arguments for both sides. I understand we have Trent McDuffie. I understand that Najee Johnson, from all reports, was getting the third cornerback snaps. After Snead and McDuffie, it was Najee Johnson who was getting the majority of the snaps in training camp, or wherever it was, OTA's training camp. I think it was training camp before he got injured. And we know that Connor is coming on. One of those guys might fill in, next year, replace Mike Edwards. The other one, he could fill in. Najee Johnson could fill in for L'Jarius Sneed. And I think I asked Gooch, I think week 1 or 2, because of that, do you think that they were trying to see what Najee could do so they knew whether they had Sneed's replacement or not, and they could let him walk?
I don't see anybody being able to replace Snead, though.
But, he got injured, and so it became a moot point. It's kind of a question of, were they trying to look, right? Because this is clearly Snead's best season. I think we can say without a doubt his best season.
He's been great since he started, though.
Part of the issues that I have right now, outside of Chris, taking plays and drives off, being on the sideline. I'm not saying not giving max effort when he's out there. That's a different question, and one that I think Gooch has talked about numerous times over the last few years, that Chris Jones takes plays off, when he's out there. But as Gooch would say, he's 29 years old, so he'll be 30 years old next year. Brett Veach doesn't give contracts to players 27, 28 and older, or whatever, at long-term deals. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the exception, obviously, every time he gets a contract extension or restructuring, whatever. But Chris Jones is going to be 30. And look, this is looking like another Orlando Brown Jr. situation. By the metrics of how much they are double team and how well they're performing beyond expectations, Dexter Lawrence is the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL right now. Dexter Lawrence, who Chris Jones didn't want to be paid as little as Dexter Lawrence is making this year. So Dexter Lawrence is what, 25, 24, 25? And he's playing the best. And Chris Jones was wanting Aaron Donald money, which is, close to $10 million a year more than Dexter Lawrence money. So we kind of have a big problem here, because you're going to pay him Aaron Donald money or anywhere close to it based off of past performance, when he's not even performing up to the guy who's making $24 million a year. How are you going to work that, especially when he's going to be 30 next year? The other issue is, I think Joe Colin has a different plan. I think he has a different idea of how to generate both the interior and exterior pressure. They brought in Amenahu for 3 years, 2-3 years. He's going to play on the inside. Not saying he's going to play Chris Jones' spot, but here's an idea. Okay. Here's an idea. L'Jarius Sneed is 26 years old. Okay. He's well within that age range where you can give him an extension. He didn't have the Charvarius Ward can't turn around for the ball issues. He didn't have the Charvarius Ward, short area quickness issues like Charvarius Ward did. Ward can get up to speed, vertically eventually. They're different players athletically. At the end of the day, you re-sign L'Jarius Sneed, and if it's me, I'm going hardcore after DJ Reader. Okay? He's not a great pass rusher, but he's a freaking clogger in the middle. He's going to clog for the run game, and he's going to occupy a double team for you to where you can do all your stuff, and you can free up a Minihue, you can free up Karlaftis, you can free up Mike Dana if you bring him back, but you're also going to strengthen your run game tremendously up the middle. And he's going to be much cheaper than Chris Jones. So that's what I would do, and that's kind of cheating, but I'm saying DJ Reader for a lot less money and bring back L'Jarius Sneed, who's only 26. To me, that's what I would be looking to do.
Well, you brought up another point that I had in mind, which is the defensive line coach. Cullen can work with people, so he can make up for Jones being gone with the internal pressure and then scheming to where they can get home. But yeah, you've got Karlaftis, you've got a Minihue. Yeah, you need somebody else, but I think we can get by when we have one of the best corners in the league, best corner tandem. Because McDuffie's kicking butt too.
So defensively, Gooch mentioned, outside of the first two drives. So obviously the first couple of drives didn't work too well. The Bills also came out running SROs, screen run options, right? So, we saw them just run the hell out of them. I think we saw the Eagles do that a lot too, did we not? Had screen run options. You could just tell, it got to where when you saw three guys over on one side and you get looking, you're like, all right, at least one of those guys looks like a tight end, right? He's blocking for someone, right? This is a wide receiver screen on the side. So screen run options where Allen, and it was really more like a screen read option, right? Allen can hand the ball off. He could throw the wide receiver screen out there, or he could run the ball himself, basically. It's not easy to defend, and I think that's what went wrong the first couple of drives or so. The defense started to adjust, and they got to where they were handling those much better. But what else? What else didn't go well? What didn't work for the defense? And was there a player in a negative way who stood out in this game on the defense?
Scott, glad you could make it for as long as you have. You take care too.
There, Scott.
And yes, Daryl, she is a Husky. Sapphire is a good name. They named her Nala. I think we're going to try and change it to Sadie. Kind of a mix between Sasha and Lady. But yeah, we haven't decided yet. She's about to get her butt kicked by the cat.
Sorry, I puked in my mouth a little bit. What was that you said? Oh, you weren't talking to me on the defensive question because I already answered it. So,
Aaron, did you have anything you wanted to add to what didn't go well for the defense?
Kennel time.
Sorry for the screaming.
I had it muted. No, I'm good.
All right. So defensively, guys, what are your show me's for this next game, if you have any?
I don't. They just need to keep playing the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I'm
still the number 3 ranked defense in the league. So it's not like they gave up 20 and they gave up 20, whatever it was the game before, but they're still number 3 ranked defense. So the defense hasn't really changed. It's just their offense is struggling. So play like you've been playing. Let's win.
Aaron, you got anything you want to throw out there?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Do you have any show me's for the defense in this next game? Anything they need to show you?
I think they've been playing great. I would like to see them get home more with the pass rush. I would like to see Jones actually trying, because it seems like he gave up on Defensive Player of the Year, so he's just not trying too hard.
Well, I'll throw one out there, and this was a concern that I've had in most of the games we ended up losing. I got to see some run defense. Spags and the defensive line have to show me that they can stop the freaking run, because I think we're going to see a lot of it from New England. I'll be shocked if they come out passing much in this game. I think they're going to run the ball and try to run it down our throats. You know, the Broncos did well in it and beat us. The Packers did pretty well and beat us. The Lions did pretty well and beat us. I think we're going to see New England come out and test our run defense, and they got to show me that they can actually stop the run. Hopefully it won't be too hard against this Patriots offense, because I don't think they have the weapons to be two-dimensional like the other offenses that I listed, who had, good enough quarterbacks and had some, pretty good receivers to go with it. But that's still my show me for the defense.
If we're going to stop the run, we got to have Naughty out there.
Aaron, is that gray in the center of your beard? Did you shave that right down the middle? Like, I'm looking at these striped beards
gray.
And I'm like,
I got quite a bit of gray now.
It's hard, you boys being old. I just turned 25, so it was rough. Rough being this young and pretty. You know what I'm saying?
Not quite there, Steve.
I was talking about Gooch.
I'm like my father. Once I hit 25, I started going backwards. Like that dude, my father was 21 for so long. When he finally passed and we got his obit, we all looked at each other and like, he was that old? Like,
that's the thing. Black don't crack. I could never tell how old somebody is.
Like, it stunned all of us, because I was like, hey, is Dad's birthday right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, we're all doing the math. I was like, dang, that old man's been 21 so long. Like, we didn't even nobody questioned it. We were just like, dang, he's a lot older than we thought. Like, and he didn't get no gray. He didn't get gray. Like, he never saw it. Even when he grew out his mustache and beard and stuff, he just never had gray in it. And the one gray he did get eventually in the front, it was just 1 or 2, he said, was from me. And so he just kept his hair cut short. So there you go.
All right. How about the coaching staff review? How do you guys feel about the game plan, the adjustments that were made, game management? I mean, I think we got to talk about the fact that nobody caught Kadarius Toney consistently throughout the game lining up offsides. But outside of that, what do we think?
Liz was yelling that he was over the line on that play, at least. She knew he was over.
The
But
thing
yeah,
is that I watched that Dan Orlovsky thing that Keys posted or somebody said something about, and he was lined up.
did we lose him?
He was lined up over the line a lot, and nobody warned him. That's what Andy was talking about. Like, he was walking a fine line, and he was checking. And even on that last one, he kind of stuck his arm out to check, and it doesn't look like he really waited for confirmation. But if the line judge was already giving him a thumbs up or patting his leg, letting him know he was good, and he just started focusing on the pass, I mean, that's – and then somebody else showed a video on the old Twitter where when he lined up initially, he wasn't over the line, like he wasn't past the ball until Creed tilted the ball up to get ready for the snap. And then he was past the ball. Like they actually showed it, like you could see down the line where you could see Tony's leg and you could see the nose of the football. Okay, still neutral zone, but it wasn't as egregious until Creed grabs the ball and tilts it up. And then all of a sudden he's like past the ball. And it's like, okay. So, I mean, even still, as a coach, with those little fancy little MacBooks or whatever they are, the wide receiver coach should have seen them like, yo, you need to step back or two.
Microsoft Surface tablets, right?
Right.
Oh, Tom Brady should know. He should have got billed for enough of them over the
should.
last few years of his career.
What's the other saying then, Holly, Hannah?
But
Black don't crack. That's right.
a couple things with that, Gooch, is I've heard someone say that Tony wasn't checking with the ref. He was letting the ref know that he was the receiver who was supposed to be on the line. But you bring out something interesting with Creed moving the ball, because other people pointed out the line of scrimmage was supposed to be the 49-yard line. Every time Creed grabs the ball, he moves it back a few inches, to where if you're going by the tip of the ball where it's at when Creed starts moving it around, that's going to happen. Whereas if it's supposed to be the 49, then, what was he on the line? Was he over? It kind of changes things, but, someone was being a smart aleck in response to the blue line. They showed the blue line for the Dolphins game with Waddle being over, and someone was being a smart aleck and was like, said something about, the refs can't, like, the refs don't have the blue line there to see, in the game, from one sideline to the other. They don't have a blue line that they can see. And so I responded and was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the wide receivers don't either. Like, they don't have a blue line. What the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean? That's why you're looking to the line judge. Like, to me, yeah, I would think I would be able to consistently line up on sides, right? But maybe not. Maybe part of it is mental fatigue, right? We talk about Andy's practices being so hard before the season starts, so that by the time you get, almost to the end of the fourth quarter, you don't have those mental lapses because you're used to it, right? Kadarius Toney was injured. How much did he get? How much training camp and preseason did he get? Did he get out of shape, the beginning of the season?
The counter to that is, God, and I hate that I'm saying this, but as a receiver, you are taught when you get up to the line, one, look at the ref, and then two, look into the ball, because you can tell from the ball where you are, and you kind of gauge it, and you should be behind the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like one of those things, like you look out, they say you're good, then you look in to see where the ball is in reference to where you are. And you're not that far. I mean, it looks like a long ways on TV, but you're not that far. You know what I'm saying? You can glance in and be like, well, I'm dead even with the ball, so I should probably slide back a little bit. I mean, it's just either way. I don't. It could be either way. I'm not going to argue either point. I'm just
right. And I'll argue both points. It's not like, yeah, I'm not saying that Tony doesn't deserve the blame for this. I'm not saying I'm 100%, with, hey, take it out of the ref's hands, altogether. Every player, every position, every play, do your job, do what you're supposed to do. Don't push lines, right? Jawan Taylor, Kadarius Toney, but I think the irritating part of this particular play is like you can be anal and be completely black and white with it. But the question I keep asking, and I even asked it on Chief Concerns, and they skipped over it. I keep asking this question. Okay. I think we would all agree that players can do things that on a play they give them a competitive advantage, and those things should be flagged. Pass interference, offensive or defensive, the whole purpose is it gives somebody a competitive advantage. Defensive offsides gives the defense a clear advantage. Jawan Taylor lining 2 yards behind Creed Humphrey gives him a clear competitive advantage, right? Intentional grounding gives the quarterback a clear competitive advantage. What the hell competitive advantage do you get as a wide receiver being offsides? If
By 6
anything,
inches.
it gives you a disadvantage. It makes it easier because if I'm a defender and I see a guy who's already over, pass, it makes it easier for you to get your hands on him and jam him. So where's the competitive advantage for a receiver being offsides? It's kind of like when they throw one of those very questionable blindside blocks or block in the backs on a punt return over on the complete other side of the field that has nothing to do with the touchdown that just got scored. Where's the competitive advantage at? I think that's part of the issue that people don't want to talk about with some of these. I'm not going to say plays, but some of these penalties, some of the penalties in general. Doesn't matter if if the Chiefs are the negative beneficiary of it or another team is the negative beneficiary of it. Some of it's just kind of insane.
For sure.
Right, Holly. And again, so you're already closer to the defender and you're looking over at the ball, right? When that ball gets hiked, that defender, he can have the peripheral vision to see you and the ball, but you're already so much closer to him that it puts you at a disadvantage. So I think it'll be good for him, to actually have them drill this in him and him actually line where he's supposed to, because I think he's been putting himself at a disadvantage. Anyway. Anything else we want to add on our coaching staff review for this game? Like I said, I think Spags was very quick to adjust to the screen run option. Do we have a show me? Other than show me that they will make sure that Kadarius Toney lines up onside?
No, I'll say I did like CEH's drive in this game. He seems to have a thing against the Bills. He rushed for like 200 yards on him once, didn't he?
He's had some pretty good games against them.
I think the next game we could run quite a bit too.
Speaking of the next game, so where do you guys think on offense we might have a disadvantage against the Patriots defense? if we have a disadvantage at all.
There's not one that I can think of that I've noticed with them. I haven't watched them a whole lot because they're bottom of the league. We should kill them on paper, but
Yeah, on paper.
I said the same thing about Green Bay, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, at least for Green Bay, they came off of beating the Lions, who are a pretty good team, you know. So, I mean, Green Bay has the talent and the coaching staff put in the work, at least for those two games. I don't think that New England, you know, some of it is injuries on the defense, the offense. I just don't see team speed, you know, to where they have the playmakers on offense to where they can do a whole lot. But we're talking about our offense against their defense here, and I think I'm with you, Aaron. I don't think I really see a disadvantage other than that the way our offense looks right now, you know, maybe there's a coaching advantage in Bill Belichick. Gooch, what do you think? Hey, Liz, glad
Offensive
you're.
mind to a
I
defensive.
think I had one for the coaching, which kind of blends into this game. Technically, we should beat them on paper, but I think what these young guys and a lot of people, what a lot of these young guys need to realize is we are teams of Super Bowl. So the coaches need to come out with a game plan that assumes that they're going to get everybody's best shot. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with, like, you know, we're good, we're the Chiefs, we should win this game, and we're getting people's best shots. And I think Mike Tyson said it, everybody has a good game plan until they're punched in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I think, although we should have the advantage, you just have to assume that we don't, because they're going to come out playing a little harder, a little faster, a little more energy, a little more passion. We just need to play like who we are, or who we should be, or who we think we are, and we should be fine.
All right, what about let's go here to the defense. Where do you think we might have a disadvantage against their offense? And I already hit on mine, talking about their run game and our defensive line not really looking like it has much ability to stop the run. Although we do have Nick Bolton back. Hopefully he got all of his rust worked out. The Bills game. But what do you guys think? Where might we have a disadvantage? Our defense have a disadvantage against the Patriots offense? If you guys think we have one.
What was that question, Steve?
Where do you think we might have a disadvantage against the Patriots offense? Our defense. Where do you think it might have a disadvantage against the Patriots offense? I already said for me it was our defensive line stopping the run against their running attack. If you
Which
could call it an attack.
They've got a pretty good run attack. It's just whether they use it or not. Zappy is better than, what's his name? I can't even remember his name now.
Mac Jones.
Who?
Yeah, that guy is
one of those Alabama quarterbacks.
Nice try. Nice try, Gooch. We're not talking about Shaft. But yeah, Zappy, I thought should have been starting over him the whole time. But I still don't think he has anything for us. But everybody seems to have their absolute best game against us. I don't know if you watched this last Packers game, but Love couldn't throw for anything. He was constantly like 5 yards off of where he needed to put the ball. It was pretty ridiculous. And there weren't no-name receivers catching the ball, making all-pro catches. So I don't know. I really don't think we have a disadvantage, but you could definitely be right on the run game. I think Nutty needs to be in there more if they start running on us. Like I said.
Well, that kind of reminds me, Keandre Coburn, who signed him? Somebody signed him from our practice squad, so we lost him again. Oh, man.
No, what, Holly?
Tennessee signed him to their active roster.
That's who it was.
What'd you say no about, Holly?
You guys said Bailey Zappi at the same time, or Mac Jones at the same time.
What about you, Gooch? Is there anywhere on defense that we have a disadvantage going up against the Patriots offense?
Oh, no, I said that first. I don't think we do.
Okay. All right, so see where we're at here.
That's why this thing works.
Defensively, where do you think we have an advantage against their offense?
Everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bailey Zappi's the quarterback.
I think that's pretty fair.
I think we got great corners. We got great secondary. It'd be a little better with Cook out there over Jamari Connor, but I like Connor too.
Yeah, when I look at the Patriots offense, like their passing game, like their receivers, to me, like their inability to create separation or to have any burst looks worse than ours. We have a much better quarterback. I think their offensive line, we should be able to generate some pass rush, for sure. But again, to me, like it comes down to their run game. So I think you guys are basically right on that we're mostly going to have an advantage on defense on this. Like again, to me, it's just a question of the run game.
Has anybody heard anything on Tranquil and his concussion? Is if he's back, we have Bolton, we have Gay.
No, he was still out of practice today.
Jeez. It was a pretty bad one.
It's probably a no-go then. We're already ending Wednesday.
I'm sorry. Apparently he was back in practice today, but Pacheco wasn't at practice today. Pacheco and Donovan Smith weren't at practice today, but Tranquil was back in practice.
And how did he get hurt? Was it just when he got twisted up?
Who, Pacheco or Donovan Smith?
Pacheco, yes, sorry.
He's got a bruise.
It was a shoulder thing, but it was on the shoulder that he had surgery on.
He has like a shoulder bruise or something.
Okay. And Tranquil was full participant, Holly says. Thank you, Holly. Yeah, I don't think it really gets better than those three for linebackers either. So that's another advantage. I think we're okay against the run with both of those guys on the field with Gay.
All right, so I'm skipping a few of these. I don't think we really need to talk about this game as much in depth as we did about the Bills, but so who do you guys have in this game and why? So I guess you can just tell us the why if you want to tell us your score prediction, but your why. Why are the Chiefs going to win?
I'll say like 27-10. Why? Because we're a better team. We're pissed off. I think we're going to make a statement that the refs will not be involved. But I think we do get flagged a lot this game just because of the comments.
If
Might not
Belichick,
be
if the
the
rumors
same
of
crew, but
Belichick's demise in New England is what everybody says it is, I think this would be the nail in the coffin. Send him
being
off into the
hammered by the
sunset.
Chiefs.
Yeah, send him off into the sunset, Andy.
Agreed.
Looking at
I really think he had a quarterback with the most drive you'll ever see besides Jordan.
although there have been rumors that if he did get let out of New England, the Chargers job would look pretty tasty to him.
You think?
Nice choice of words.
Could you imagine Sean Payton, Andy Reid, and Belichick in the same dadgum division?
That is crazy. And then does the defensive coach get the job for the Raiders?
They'd have to like try to bring Jimmy Johnson or something out of retirement, wouldn't they?
The Raiders?
They'd have to keep pace with that with the rest of the West as far as coaching staff goes.
I thought you said he was coaching in that other league.
I don't remember now. That's been a few months.
I thought you brought him up. Maybe not. I could be remembering wrong.
Hey, Holly, this is where it usually gets near the end of the stream, and we've been randomly going to food late. But we got more of the football out of the way this time, so we're not technically off the rails for this show. This is about where it deviates.
You're all right. You gonna make your cameo? Nope, guess not.
Gooch, did you celebrate Taylor Swift's birthday today? Taylor Swift's birthday's today?
How do you celebrate that on your own? Just listen to her music?
Probably sing in the shower. I don't know, Gooch. How did you celebrate it? I didn't know it's today. I don't care.
How does Liz even know that?
I don't think Gooch was celebrating it, but he did leave, so he's probably going to celebrate it now that he realized he forgot to celebrate it.
He said, "Oh no, I'm not a teenage girl." Is that a Katy Perry song? Is he quoting Katy Perry? Isn't that a Katy Perry song? Gooch?
Sorry, the devil brought up the devil's helper, and I was like, my whole internet and stuff messed up.
Oh, good Lord, Liz.
Probably made friendship bracelets and did his hair with her music on in the background.
See, here's the thing, Liz. Like, normally that would work with me, but I don't even know my own mom's birthday, let alone try to remember somebody I don't even care about's birthday. But you managed to bring it up and know when her birthday is.
Wait,
Are
you talking about Taylor Swift's birthday or Liz's birthday?
Taylor
No,
Swift's
that's
birthday.
July.
Liz was one was like, did you celebrate the birthday? Like, I can't even tell when my mama's birthday is based on when her anniversary is. I just guess in a certain month and call her around the middle of it and go, "Happy birthday."
She accepts that.
Yeah, she knows me.
I would get a giant guilt trip.
Well, you guys have heard it here first. Gooch and his mother's birthday is like Kadarius Toney in the line of scrimmage.
I'd like to keep in mind that there were 17 of us, including my mother and my father's, and there's a lot of birthdays to try and remember. Like, I can remember my father's because his was exactly 5 days after mine.
I remember my parents. I remember my brothers.
Like, my parents got married in the same month as my mother's birthday. So it's either they got married on Valentine's Day and her birthday is the 20th, or her birthday is Valentine's Day and they got married on the 20th. Either or, I just call around the 15th or 16th and say, happy birthday / happy anniversary and keep it moving.
Liz's is July 6th. So not even close, Steve.
I was making a joke, Aaron, since Gooch said he doesn't know the birthday of anyone he doesn't like. Holly, your parents?
I have you guys in my calendar. Don't ask me yours, but I have it in my calendar and it'll pop up on the day and be like, hey, Keys' birthday, or hey, Dub's birthday. Like, really? Yeah, I don't have it memorized, but I did manage to put it in there because I never wanted to be like, I didn't want you guys to have to remind me it was your birthday and then I'd feel like a piece of crap. So I made sure to do that. Which, in all honesty,
I feel like a piece of crap when I have to ask, huh?
Which is honestly the only reason why I even use my calendar is for you two's birthday. Other than that, everybody's like, you don't use your calendar for something? I'm like, nope.
Oh, this says Gooch did wish her a happy birthday. So he does know your birthday, so he doesn't hate you.
Steve just doesn't until now.
No, Dub told me it was her birthday that day. So then I sent her a message that said, happy birthday. And that was one of the times that I actually made her laugh at work out loud when she was at a meeting with other doctors because I just was going on a tangent or whatever.
Yeah, she did tell me about
that. Yes, Hannah, I remember my birthday because I was born on Thanksgiving. So every 7 years, my birthday happens to fall on it again. It's easy for me to remember.
Oh, what yeah, that's right. I do know yours. Same as my mother-in-law.
What I don't remember, Hannah, is what my family seems to struggle with is what year I was born. Because when I give it to them, they go, "That's not your age," and then we have to do the math together, and they go, "Oh yeah, it is."
1923.
25. You know.
Gooch, you're 30 years older than my dad.
Apparently. And I am dead sexy too. Still get.
How did we get back on chocolate vanilla?
Still get hit on at gas stations.
I don't know.
Look, since we're talking about it, I went to the doctor the other day since my incident back in October, and my blood pressure was 134/85.
Do they have you on blood pressure meds?
A really, really small dose. Like I'm on 50 milligrams of losartan.
Okay, that's what I take.
But the key. Oh, and I lost 12 pounds last month. So as long as I keep up with all the stuff I'm doing, they can take me off the medication as long as the blood pressure continues to do what it's supposed to do.
Still dropping the pounds. Nice. There's his cameo. We hear you.
Yeah, it is, Holly.
I'm going to go ahead and get the maniac out of the kennel.
Exactly 6 months apart. My parents were 9 years, 364 days apart, so it was always easy for me to remember their birthdays.
Nice.
But a few
Which
days.
Which one is older, your mom or your dad?
Well, my dad died 23
Oh.
years ago, so
Sorry to hear about that.
but yeah, he was the one who was older. He was almost 10 years older than my mom.
Yeah,
One
my
day
dad
short of
was.
it.
My dad was almost 15 older than my mom. That old guy was putting in work. I think I was when I looked at the original birth certificate. I think he was 46, 47 when he had me.
Mm.
And depending on who you talk to, the only reason why I was born is because one of them couldn't keep their hands off the other. It just depends on who's telling the story. It depends on who couldn't keep their hands off of who. But I am the baby, and there is a 10-year gap between me and the next.
Well, my younger sister and my older sister and I are 7.5 years apart. My dad was 37 and a half when I was born. But my younger sister and I are 11 months apart. And
I'm putting that work in after that.
I like to tell people that they enjoyed me so much that they couldn't wait to have another one. And then they stopped with my sister because she was so evil.
That sounds good to me, brother.
Yeah, definitely, Holly. I get jealous sometimes. I had a professor in college who's in his 70s and his father's in his 90s and lives with him and his wife. And sometimes I would get jealous. But I don't know. I don't know what's harder. I don't know if it would be harder to have your father with you for 50, 60 years of your life, or only have him like 16 like I did. So I don't know. I can't say one way or the other, because I know it could be just as hard having someone there for 50, 40, 50, 60 years. I don't know. But that's why Gooch says what he says. He knows, and he's being serious when every time when he ends the show. you know So what do we think about the Belichick rumors? Do you guys think that Kraft's actually going to pull the trigger at the end of the season?
No.
And if he does, do you guys see him going to the Chargers, or where would you see him going?
Honestly, I don't think Kraft pulls the trigger. I think he gives him one more year. I think he's earned it based on what he's accomplished. If they do manage to do that and let him go, I think the Chargers really is the only team that makes sense. Herbert's still young, even though he's about to get paid. He has a home there. Okay, the taxes are terrible, but it's mostly sunny. Um, what would be interesting is if he went to Tampa, because I think we're all in agreement that Flores is out, or not Flores, but Bowles is out.
Didn't he say he was moving on?
No, not yet.
Yeah, Pat McAfee had Robert Kraft on and straight up asked him, like he said, "Hey, we've all heard we've all heard the news or rumors or whatever. Do you want to respond to it or something?" Just like right there on live, and actually had the balls to say it.
Who does Holly want to see go to the Chargers?
I'm guessing Belichick. I don't like that at all, Holly.
Belichick, because it would cause chaos in the NFL.
That's true. You'd have a hell of a crazy division. I think the Raiders would be in trouble. I think they'd go 0-6.
Here's kind of my question with it though, right? Because when you're thinking about the fit, would you guys still see Belichick as the type of coach, right? When I was on Dan's show the other night, he keeps talking about the Browns and Kevin Stefanski and if they make the playoffs, and I keep saying, I think if they make the playoffs, I don't think Stefanski's getting fired unless the Patriots fired Bill Belichick. If you have Bill Belichick suddenly available, you might fire your coach even if you make the playoffs. Do you guys see another team that could possibly do that? Like, say Dallas is one and done and Kraft does fire Belichick. Could you see Jerry Jones firing Mike McCarthy for Bill Belichick?
Nope, because Belichick won't go there. And I only say that because Jones wants to be too hands-on for Belichick's liking. And it would just be another Jimmy Johnson issue. And Stefanski's job is secure. That dude has done this with the Browns with 4 different starting quarterbacks, and he still managed to keep them in the playoff hunt. Like, that kid's job is, I think, locked in for at least another. Like, he's earned another year. And I know that doesn't mean crap, but when you lose Deshaun, then Dorian Thompson-Robinson, then you had to play with what was that dude's name? Not even good enough that I should remember. Then you bring 40-year-old Flacco off the couch at home, and you still manage to win games. Like, you're not – that's coaching. Like, that's not just, oh, we're lucking into some of these wins. It's coaching. Good coaching. Chargers, Bucks, Saints. Well, anywhere in the NFC South, if you want to be honest. Chicago, he does well in cold weather. And they have the most cap space next year. I think it's something like $70 or $80 million. So he'd be able to build a team the way he wants to.
Yeah, I think Chicago is probably one of the best fits, especially, you have good ownership. I forget what they're.
Would he be the GM? That's my question.
In Chicago,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
anywhere he goes, are they willing to give him that?
I think the Chargers would. But I think the Bears like Ryan Poles. If that is, I think that who's there, Poles. I think the Bears like him, so that would be tough. But Bears would be a good fit because he could build a team the way he would have influence anyway when he walked in. So even if he's not the GM, he would have a lot of influence over personnel and all of that stuff. Like, he'd be able to pick his own players and then it'd just be up to them to work the contracts to get him what he wants. If Belichick stays in New England, nobody's talking about it. But Kirk Cousins could end up in New England. Belichick loves Kirk Cousins.
How do you know that?
Because he's always said nothing but good things about him, and that he would have drafted him if Washington wouldn't. Well, they had Brady, so he didn't draft him because of that.
Did they go after him? Or did
they
still
looked at him,
Brady
but they had Brady.
He went to
They stuck with Brady, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you mean when
that was?
When he signed his second contract with Minnesota? Yeah, they were going to court him or whatever, but Minnesota came with that fully guaranteed, and Belichick's not doing that.
How old is he?
Belichick?
No.
Kirk?
Yes.
Oh, crap, Keys, you're going to have to check that, but I think, 30, 34?
Oh, I wouldn't say he's older than that. I'd say like 37.
That's what
Is
I
he
have
old?
in my head.
Is he that old?
35.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he turned 35. I can't say that out loud. I almost got
Yeah, you
myself
can.
in the
Or you
doghouse.
gonna spill?
The day of his birth is close to my wife's, but I can't say anything about the year. But yeah, he just turned 35. You better bring me something home.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some chocolate myself. I'm gonna have to take off and get a jump in the shower and get ready for work. So on his crazy laugh, I'm gonna sign out.
All right, take it easy here.
Brother.
Good to see everybody.
Of course, brother.
Later.
Later.
Well, Holly, last week we spent a lot of time talking about pie, cookies, ice cream,
Yeah, favorite types of
shakes.
shakes.
Best food to get from Schwann's.
Really did. Wow.
Yeah. Forget. Well,
Hannah, you're surrounded by chocolate. Chocolate shakes, chocolate pies, the chocolate brownie thing.
Yeah, I was in the other night. I looked at the muffin case. I looked at the pie case. Thinking about what in particular, Holly?
Chocolate.
Holly said she's a twirl, right? She's a twirl fan. I was looking for the comment. I can't find it. I thought, is that what you said, Holly? You like chocolate vanilla
Yeah,
twirl?
she said she liked me.
Mostly chocolate and baked. Yeah. 'Tis the season. Yeah, I had some of the jobs I used to work. I would do make Oreo truffles.
I'm gonna have to start getting back in the kitchen and baking stuff too.
Oh man, you're losing weight. Don't get back in the kitchen.
I know somebody's got to do it. I ain't got a wife, so yeah. I'll be like my father. I'll end up making it and giving it away anyway because for the most part, once I make it, I'm just like, yeah, I didn't really want it after I made it, so here you go.
Yeah, just do it for the enjoyment.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to master my father's 7-Up cake, Mike.
I got my daughter making my oldest daughter making a Jello pudding cake. I forget, we use like a lemon cake mix and lemon pudding and then like lime Jello. You guys ever made Jello cakes before? Like you do the cake and then you put some holes in the cake and pour the Jello in and then stick it in the fridge and let it set up. If you make one, stick it in the freezer afterwards. It makes cake taste so much better. You guys know I'm not a big cake fan, but I found if you stick it in the freezer and don't let it defrost. Like eat it frozen, and it tastes closer to ice cream, which makes cake a lot more edible.
Holly, I didn't even know what beer rocks were until I spent some time in Hutchinson. And I still haven't had one.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're talking about here. I don't know. Is it Runza? I know Gooch talks about the runs, but I don't know what Runza is.
Whatever
Runza?
it is,
Runza?
they make them. Whatever it is, they make it moist. Ooh, where's this stream going? Sweet Jesus, Holly, you're just as bad as me and Keys and Hannah.
Okay. Yeah, Holly, you're gonna have to tell me in the chat what they are, because like I've seen signs that like at gas stations or something that talk about. Oh, you did talk about them, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't even know what the ancestry for something like that is. What kind of meat? Meat, cabbage, onion sandwiches encased in homemade dough. That's interesting. What kind of meat though? Because it kind of sounds like we're kind of getting into Schwann's bagel dogs, Gooch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's where you got my mind going, Holly. What kind of meat do you put in the? So meat, cabbage, onion, like you roll it up, and then you roll it up in dough, kind of like a pig in the blanket, except for instead of a hot dog, it's.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you, dog. And KL, this is normally a Chiefs convo. We just ran off like we usually do, bro.
Ground beef. Okay, from Russia. Okay.
I was
So
getting
that,
ready to say, because Steve said the ancestry of it, I was just going to throw out white people, but that's.
let me just say some stuff here, Gooch. Like my grandparents grew up during the Depression, so like they cooked all these recipes for us that I would imagine you'd be like, oh yeah, that's pretty poor there, you know what I mean? Like you ever had milk toast?
Nope, but I've had a tang sandwich.
You never had milk toast? Anybody in the chat, have you guys ever had milk toast?
I'm going to be the only one of color that asked this, but what the hell is milk toast?
I'm glad you asked, Gooch. It's poor people food, Gooch. See, you so you toast bread, right? Well, first off, you get a saucepan, maybe a bigger, maybe like a quart saucepan, and you running of the bulls or something going on in the house. You put some milk in it. You put some, I want to say, cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sugar. I don't know. It's been a long time. And so you heat that up. And while you're heating that up, you start toasting bread. Okay. Then you put the toast into the pan and you dip it in there and then you pull it out. Okay. That's breakfast. That is poor people breakfast.
I'm sorry, but you're basically telling me it's soggy bread.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste.
Holly says bread pudding, which again, like, I mean, I grew up with a poor family, and I mean, like, tang sandwiches were real things. You get some tang and sprinkle it on bread and eat it, or syrup sandwiches or whatever. But I never heard of milk toast. You know what I'm saying? Like I've even
No,
dipped bread in ketchup, but
I didn't say ground beef. Holly said ground beef with whatever she was talking about. Milk, sugar, little vanilla, and cinnamon, I believe, are the four.
KO, that's what I was thinking whenever I was like, man, that is a prison meal right there. Like this. Eat this loaf.
Yeah, it's it. Hey, listen, like I said, my grandparents grew up during the Depression, so I got stories of that, and somehow that's one of the meals that made its way down to us when we were kids. But other grandparents would, I guess, what they would do back in those days, in lieu of having cereal, was popcorn, and you put a little sugar in your popcorn and some milk.
Man, our ancestors had it rough.
Oh yeah. Hey, no joke. No joke about it. Like I heard the stories about the coal train coming through town and everyone running over to the railroad tracks to grab any pieces of coal that fell out of the back on its way through, to throw in the fire at night. I've heard some stories. Holly, bread pudding is much better. It's really one of those things where I'm not a slimy texture type of person. And so yeah, there would be some days, like if you eat it before it soaks in the milk very much, then you're probably okay. Otherwise, not so good.
Yeah, I don't do slimy either, bro. Not at all.
Prison alley meal. Bread pudding's good though. I will eat bread pudding because it's drier. It's not as slimy. It's from Russia. Any other interesting food? Oh, hey Gooch, now tell us what happened last Wednesday after the stream ended. Did you get a shake? Did you go?
No, you know I went to. I didn't tell you, man. As soon as it was done, because Hannah was talking about shakes and you were talking about shakes, stuff like that. Like I was like, the stream. I ended the stream, and I sat here for about 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, there's a steak and shake around the corner. So I went and got me a large. Well, they don't do large. It's like, I don't know, 16, 20 ounce or something like that. Oreo shake. And that thing was phenomenal. And now that we're talking about it again, I may have to make another run because people are sending me messages talking about they want to have a meeting at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I laughed back at them like, my phone doesn't work that early in the morning. We'll have to do this around 9, guys.
Holly, are you cooking along? Or are you just watching the videos?
I bet she's cooking along. Nah, it's what, 10 o'clock? Nah. She's probably watching it.
Yeah.
But I bet she's taking notes. Sounds like somebody about to get murdered over there.
Yeah, the question is it going to be by a sibling or is it going to be by a parent?
Yeah. Depends on which number it is. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
So, Holly, are you saying that I should be the one watching and making the recipes?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're just having fun. It's like the one. See, for them, this is like recess because mom's at work and dad is live streaming. And it's like, all right, we probably got 2 to 3 hours to kind of just go buck wild before dad comes in there and goes, all right, bedtime. They're just getting it all out before they have to go pass out. Keys are smart.
Hey, as long as they do, because I have to get up early and they need to go to bed early. So, wouldn't recommend it, Holly, that bad. I'm guessing she cooks like weird things like goose liver or something.
So now when we get off of here, I'm gonna have to YouTube Julia Child cooking stuff because now I'm interested into what she would be cooking. Not that I would cook any of it, but it would be interesting to see. So we have something to talk about next week when we're done with Chiefs.
Super
Yeah.
complicated.
No offense.
Okay.
That's a white woman with nothing to do and too much money.
I was going to say this sounds like a witch, but you know. Oh, now the dog's involved.
Tomato, tomato. Actually, I can't even say white because I have an auntie, believe it or not, that is exactly like that, making some dish nobody's ever heard of that she saw a recipe for in some strange freaking book from somewhere else or something that she saw online that she had to order ingredients from England for, and she was going to try and make and want people to taste it. So I honestly can't even say white person because I definitely have an aunt like that. I made this goulash from this Vulash Daluk village down in southern Africa that I found in some obscure journal that nobody reads in a different language. You guys should try it.
And the book is written in Braille.
Right.
You know, all I'll say was, you know, I think what Betty Crocker. I think Betty Crocker is who taught my grandma to cook. Like she would always talk about when my grandparents got married, she could cook steak and spaghetti. That's it, 2 meals, steak and spaghetti, and that's what they had like every night. And then you know, so I was the beneficiary of 40 years of learning how to cook or something.
Hold up, and who was this? Who was this, Keith?
This is my grandmother.
Okay, so grandma had it right. And you're gonna be like, how? Because if you cook a big enough pot of spaghetti, that thing can go Monday to Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
And let's say you eat out on Friday. So you do steak on Thursday. If you get a big enough meal to go out, that could be Friday and maybe Saturday, and then Sunday have a church have the family meal. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like when I was coming up, that was like the big thing. Like uh, depending on how my mom or dad felt, Mondays was probably spaghetti or chili, something that would last a couple days. And then if mom was really feeling up for it, then she might fried chicken or something like that. But then Friday was like, either fend for yourself night. Saturday was fend for yourself night, but Friday was usually, barbecue or McDonald's or something like that. But Sunday was, you know, a whole meal, green beans, corn, all that stuff. And we all sat down after church. Like that was the one meal in our family that you couldn't miss. Like church and then Sunday dinner. Like those were non-negotiables. You know what I mean? And we all ate together. But I mean, that's how we grew up. One thing to last you 2 or 3 days, sprinkling cheeseburgers maybe on a Thursday, I did not say white women are witches. I did not say that. Good grief. You're going to get us banned. Or me canceled, one of the two.
Oh, let me see. What do I have to put on here? I have that one. I don't know if that one helps us.
Yeah, we here at BAK are not racially motivated. We do not believe white women are witches. We do not believe black women are crazy. And we do not support that line or train of thinking. Betty Crocker is a box holly. I learned from Betty too. And I guarantee your 2 to 3 hours at work with those kids, I bet Keys wishes he was there some days.
Yeah.
I say that, but I guarantee you it's more fun than it's not. I can just imagine, like, honestly, talking to you, bro, like I can get a good idea of what my parents went through because they had the majority of theirs around the same ages too. And it's probably why when it was time for me to come home, my mom was like, I ain't cooking no more. Figure it out yourself. and then I got a lot more leeway, kinda, because they were never there, probably because they were staying away from the rest of us. So I got to. I mean, I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't really get in too much trouble, but it was like one of those where, all right, that one's away from home, thank God. So,
Right.
shoot.
See, I kind of look back at my parents and I'm like, pansies, like, because there were 3 of us, and we grew up in the generation where it was go ride your bike and come home before it gets dark. Like that was basically it. So my grandparents lived right next to us. My sister was, by the time I was 7, my sister was 14. So my sister babysat all the time. My grandparents lived next door. And it's like, there were only 3 of us. But my kids are behaved a lot better than the 3 of us were. So.
And see, that's like the thing. Like even with my parents, like when I was younger coming up, like they kicked us all outside. You know what I'm saying? And if they really wanted to stay outside, they locked the doors because of us had a key. You know what I'm saying? You're thirsty, drink out of the hose and stuff like that. But yeah, like I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I had fun though. Like a lot of that stuff growing up though. That's what a lot of these new kids need is like, yeah, go outside and play and don't come back till it gets dark, till the street lights come on or whatever it was. For my brothers and them was the street lights. For me, the street lights could come on, but there was like my father. I'm taller than my father. I'm 6'2", but my father was only 6 foot. But he, his parents died at a young age, so he was like the only male in a family full of girls. Like he had older sisters, but as the guy, he had to go out and like work. At 14, he was railroad working. You know what I'm saying? But he got that deep man voice. So when I was younger, we'd be playing outside. He had one of those voices that you could hear over the whole block. So as it got later, you just kind of got quieter when you were playing, and you just wait for your parents to call you. And then once he called you, you had like 60 seconds. And if he went inside before you got there and locked the door, he wasn't gonna make you stay outside all night, but it was to teach you a lesson. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. But yeah, I enjoyed my childhood, man. Like I actually had fun. Yeah, we played in dirt. I was telling a friend of mine, Holly, just the other day, because I have they're not even friends, like associates really, but they're in healthcare, and they've been getting like sick lately. And I said, you know what your problem is? Y'all didn't get outside to get dirty enough. Y'all didn't play and eat dirt and rub spit in your cuts. And I was like, back then we had 5 different flavors or of Robitussin for any kind of ailment you might have. There's Robitussin CF and DE and all that stuff. I'm like, that's why y'all getting sick. Y'all just got no, you guys are pansies. And it's amazing we got more people watching now that we're off topic than we did when we were on topic. Welcome. Hey, guys. I'm glad you're here. This has went from ice cream and food to Robitussin back to Chief and all that. Holly remembers the Robitussin.
I don't think we could ever afford it.
Everybody could afford Robitussin. I think it was like $1.
I think it was a little bit more expensive by the time I was a kid, Gooch.
I don't know. I don't than you, Keys. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, you keep pushing that 25 years old narrative.
We got cuts. We had to pour. Was it peroxide, Holly?
Methylate.
You poured it on there. They poured it straight on there, and it bubbled up, and it would burn a little bit. My grandma was like, "You don't burn that bad. You just shut up and stand there." Man, I really hated, loved that old lady. Hated, loved. She was a traditional grandma too, like one of those old Puerto Ricans that hummed when she slid across the floor. You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at that.
You guys had it easy, apparently. My grandma, it was usually methylate going on there, and that stuff like stung really bad.
The birds are starting to chirp. Oh, by saying you're up too late that the birds are starting to wake up? That's an interesting one. I never heard that.
So, true story here, and Hannah can vouch for this from her own experience, but well, my mom would too. But true story, we never went to the doctor when I was growing up. Like the only time I went to the doctor, like when I was sick, Gooch, is when I got sick enough that I wouldn't eat. Like the moment I was sick and I wouldn't eat, then my parents would start to freak out. You know, ultimate fat kid. You know what I mean? Like it was, oh my God, he's so sick, he's not eating. He's probably going to die. You know, type of thing. And even now, you know, when I'm sick, I still eat. And if I get sick enough that I don't eat, that's when you start freaking out. You know, and so if I ever get old and I get sick, I'll probably know if I'm going to die or not because I'll stop eating.
And see, your parents waited till you stopped eating. My dad didn't like them. My grandfather believed that if you went to the doctor, the only way you were leaving the doctor was feet first. So, as a Southern old man, he kind of inbred that in the rest of our family. I got into it with some guys, and we were in a fight, and I was winning, and then this buddy hit me with a pipe across the face to where half my face swelled up to like 3 times its regular size. One of my cousins or a friend of mine from the street had to carry me home. Instead of taking me to the hospital, my dad was like, just lay him on the couch and put some ice on it. He'll be all right. And just left me there for like 2 or 3 days, which is probably why I'm crazy now, because I had a severe concussion and the old man wouldn't take me to the doctor.
I was going to say, if Liz was here, this is where she would be like, well, that explains what's wrong with your face.
Oh, that was good one, Keith.
Liz isn't here, so I feel like I have a good insight into both yours and Liz's mentality towards each other to where I can just slip into that. But yeah. No, hey, listen, it was kind of the same mindset. That's what I'm saying, you know, like that's when they would start to freak out because as a fat kid, basically every time I was ever sick, I was still eating, you know. So when I didn't, it's like that's when they got as concerned as they could get.
Yeah, I could see that. There's nothing wrong with being a fat kid. I talk to my inner fat kid every day. Since we're talking about that, my trainer today, we're working out, and I'm like talking about that I can have and not have, and she starts breaking into. She's like, you can have hot chocolate, and I'm like, I can't have hot chocolate. Like that's blah 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 blah. She was like, nah, you really can, because there's only 100 calories, and this, that, and the other. So you can have. Stop talking to me, because my fat kid's gonna have a whole bunch of hot chocolate. And then she's like, and I make these s'mores, like thing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why are you talking to me right now? Like, I hate you so much because now I'm gonna have to pay you to get some of that stuff. Yeah. She does make a really good homemade cinnamon applesauce, believe it or not. That's actually pretty good. I had some really good pears recently. Somebody shipped them to me.
Well, you know what you could do, Gooch? That hot chocolate dip or whatever it was Hannah was talking about earlier. She gave me some, by the way, because she comes home for her lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's still here. I don't know if she can give the recipe if she knows it or not, but she told me that they actually put hot chocolate packets in it.
Oh, really?
Like whatever this mix is, like that's part of the ingredients. It's like a pudding. It's like a chocolate pudding or something, but it has like hot cocoa packets or something in it,
Oh, nice.
along with marshmallows and something else. I don't know what. I don't know if she's here or not.
Before we bounce back to a different subject, so remember I spent all that time in the last few years going back and forth to New York to do all that, right? So I get a phone call today that since I haven't been making my trips out there, that whole area is struggling again, and now they're going to close 3 to 4 of those stores. And I'm like, then why was I going if this was going to be the end result? Well, the problem is that the end result happened because I had stopped going out there, because apparently the people that were filling in for me had lost their daggum minds. And so people were like, well, we ain't got to deal with this. We're out. Here's the problem. I am now staying closer to home, and I'm not doing winter times in New York anymore. I'm not. I'm just not. Although I may have to do a show from the stadium because I think I may have the time to actually use my season tickets to go to the Raiders game. Maybe. I got another person that wants me to go to Indiana and help them because they just started their own little franchise stuff. Hard being great. I'm just waiting to get mine started. Like I'm like biding my time because the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to I don't want to just buy one or two, and I don't want to do it in some obscure portion of the country because when I get this going, I don't want to sit there and have to ask the people that are going to be involved with me, like, hey, guess what? We're starting out with these two in Vermont. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, and I know it's going to be impossible, but there's 48 stores in Indiana that are probably going to need a new. I mean, obviously, they're not going to do all 48 at one time, but I could be piecing off part of that and be closer to home because then, hey, take the 6 to 8 hours to Indiana or fly from there to Indiana is a whole lot better than, hey, from the Midwest to the East Coast or whatever. They did have 2 stores in California, but I wasn't about to pay $4 million for 2 stores. They're out their mind for that. when one of them only does 4 million a year in sales. Nope. Sorry. Find some other sucker.
Yeah, is that 4 million gross?
Net sales 4 million.
Okay.
I do know that the guy that I was helping in Kansas City is selling all his. But those have been ran so poorly lately that, I mean, that's, you could turn them around, but it's going to take a miracle. You have to win hearts and minds again.
Yeah, I mean, that would be rough. Like, you put a lot of work into those New York stores.
Yeah, that's what kills me. That's what kills me. Like I was telling people, um, um there's aside from you, Aaron, uh, hell, Hannah now, like there's Liz. There's probably only one or two people who actually know like what I was really doing when I was traveling, doing all of that. Like most people assumed like I was just going out there like running a store to or whatever. Like they didn't realize how in depth it was and what I was actually doing. And like I was telling them today, I said, what really hurts me is the fact that that's where it's gotten. You know what I'm saying? Because when I went out there, these stores weren't open like they should have been. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And then we get them all open. They're all running good. Everything's great. And then to hear that, like it kills me. You know what I'm saying? For the people, for the company in general, just because it's like certain people care and then other people all they care about is the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, if you get into this, especially at the level that some of them are, you know what I'm saying? Like you have stuff you can leave behind. Like you don't have to like I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm gonna do mine, but like I'm gonna eventually back out and I'm gonna leave it to the people that are under me. Like even if I have to piece it off, like because it's something you can pass down or they even if you pass it down and they don't want to do it, they can sell it. Like there's it's I don't know, frustrating because you have access to change people's lives and you don't care enough about it to further that along, especially with the way that the economy and stuff is now. You know what I mean? It just kills me. And the people that I hired that actually did care, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't that I just ran out on them. It was like, I've been doing this for the last 3 years. Like it's, and with the incident in October, which I didn't even realize, like I was literally killing myself doing this. You know what I mean? And I mean, obviously not realizing it because I was eating DoorDash every day and not getting exercise and not getting enough sleep and the weight that I put on my own shoulders to be successful for them. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff just kind of compounded. And then when I got back and I didn't have as much, then my body didn't know how to react when I started changing things, which is how all that stuff ended up happening anyway. Anyway, man, I like this stream. Like I love talking football, but it gets better when we veer off because it's just conversation and some stuff I have to put on a different show, which I'm gonna do. Like tomorrow, I'm probably gonna send you a message 3 different times. Like, okay, this one's done, this one's done, this one's done. So I didn't realize I had a lot to talk about, but I do. Got quiet over there. 2 kids are dead. They're not. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I'm just saying.
Well, I can hear one of the older ones shushing kids, so.
Oh, there you go. Take charge, baby. Take charge.
Oh, that's the youngest one.
You're not the boss of me.
Yeah, this microphone picks up way too much. It's way too good at its job. I got to get a crappier microphone.
Actually, I really I couldn't hear them until, to which I'm sure is like screaming on your end. It didn't sound like screaming on this end. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
just sounded like they were just like normal, but you can't really hear them like 98% of the time when you're on. They're not quiet that whole time. I know they're not. You can't hear them.
Oh, I can. I can hear them nice and loud.
Yeah, we can't. So real talk with the Back Talk Bros. Hey, that's a good one, Dub. I like that, bro. Pleasant ambient children. Yeah.
Children.
I don't know about ambient. They may need Ambien, but you can tell they are is well nurtured, the word I'm looking for. Like healthy, just regular kids. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we were talking the other day. What was it I was telling? I was telling you guys that I found that. So I was telling Aaron and Gooch I found out a hack for freezing pancakes, because sometimes Hannah will bring some home from Perkins.
Oh, did you do that? Did you do that?
Yeah. So I'll get to that in a second. But so freeze pancakes and eat them frozen. This goes back with the whole cake thing as well. But I was telling them the reason that we discovered this was because if we keep anything like that in the fridge, the kids get into it. But we learn if you stick it in the freezer, they can't just take bites and take their hands and dig into it and eat whatever, because the stuff is frozen. And what was it, Gucci said something about them eating like a fat kid or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, so like here's the thing, right? Because sometimes Hannah will yell at them, and I'm just like, I can't yell at them because they'll like get into a bag of spinach and just grab a handful, or they'll grab they'll get into a bag of broccoli or carrots or something, and they'll just start eating them. And even the one that's kind of a killer is fruit, because it's expensive, and they just go through it. And I'm just like, I can't yell. Like, how are you going to yell at kids for eating healthy? You know what I mean? Like, these kids love to eat broccoli. They love to eat spinach. Crazy.
The stuff that you had to force us to eat when we were kids.
But it's how we brought them up, because like for me, it was kind of a concerted effort. Like my grandma, like it was like her biggest bragging point that when I was like like 6 months old or something, like she would give me a bowl full of beans and put me in front of the TV, and then I'd eat the bowl full of beans and she'd give me another bowl full of beans. Like grandma, maybe you were the reason that I grew up to be a fat kid. You know what I mean? Like, so with them, it's like, I want my kids to eat healthy. They still get to eat some junk food, but it's kind of like the exact opposite of what we did. But it's still crazy. It's still crazy every time, right? Because even Lydia is like, she loves to eat raw spinach. And I'm just like, you're 1.5 years old, like, why do you enjoy eating spinach so much? Like we'll do soup or something, and so we throw in some uncooked spinach, because it gives a little texture to the soup. And she'll look up, and if I don't give her any, she starts crying. Like she starts whining for it. And it's like, sometimes it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I know how I brought them up, but to see them actually take it to that extreme.
Yeah, like when he was telling me that, because I had made mention about them, I was like, don't something about them eating like a fat kid and how proud I was, this and the other. And Keith corrected me, I was like, no, it's healthy stuff that they're eating. Like, and I'm like, what? Like, I was stunned. Like, I'm like, he can't get mad at that. Like, when me and Keys, and probably a lot of us all grew up the same way. Like, grandma just stuck probably what would now be considered the worst possible foods in front of you. They used to sit them in front of you because it would keep you quiet and you just eat and watch TV or do something else or carry it outside and eat it. And like, I guess if I had kids and they were eating spinach, I'd be like, man, crap, all right, I got to buy another bag of spinach. Yeah. I'm glad you're eating healthy. That's crazy. Did you make the shake out of the peanut butter fudge and the pancake stuff?
Yeah, we did. Well, Hannah did. I didn't make them. She made them. She made them the next. I think it was the next day or 2 days afterwards. We had to get the vanilla ice cream, and so. Well, one thing is they were like really strong peanut butter, so I don't know if the pancakes were a little bit different than normal. Because usually the girl that makes them for her, like, it's like a nice like a fudge chocolate drizzle one way, and then like the peanut butter the other way. But these tasted really strong peanut butter, but the texture was a little weird. And I think part of it is probably because Hannah blended everything together. And my idea was cut the pancakes into chunks, so it like they're cubed, like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. That was kind of my thought. Then you can throw them in, make your shake, make it nice and smooth, whatever, then throw those in. But I think she blended everything together, so like the pancake kind of disintegrated in there. But we still have pancake left, so we're gonna try it my way, and I'm gonna see if that'll change anything. It was still good though. It just tasted more like a peanut butter shake than anything.
Still sounds good though.
Yeah, it's just like, my fat boy brain, like foods, like in theory, sound like they're gonna taste better. And so it's kind of disappointing when they don't. Apparently Hannah's still listening in because I just got a text. There wasn't much chocolate on those pancakes.
Holly said it sounded pretty darn good too. So
it was still good. But yeah, I'm a food ideas person. I'll say, you know what? I'll say to Hannah, I'll say to my oldest daughter, I'm like, we should do this. Right? Holly can vouch for me. Holly had peanut butter whiskey. Is that what it was, Holly? Peanut butter whiskey. And I said, Holly, you know what you should do? You should get some frozen blueberries, frozen strawberries, either one, and stick them in your cup. You can use those as your ice cubes, but it also might taste like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm an ideas person when it comes to food.
Hold
like
up, dog, because
that's my fat boy energy.
I'm not a big drinker, but man, that sounds. I am a peanut butter and jelly guy. Oh, she just said she took your advice with the blueberries. It was awesome.
Yeah, try with some some sliced frozen strawberries. I bet that would be just as good. Just dice them up.
Keys out here giving food advice. We should have a show like that, food advice with Keys.
Food advice.
Oh, shucks, that's amazing.
Now, Holly, the question is, what would a shake taste? What would a peanut butter whiskey shake taste like with some strawberries? Can you do that? Can you mix milk and liquor? I guess you can, right? Because mudslides and stuff. I don't know. Oh, Holly, I guess she's driving now, so she can't. She can text me, but she can't be in the chat. Holly, Hannah says you should try frozen peaches or cherries with the peanut butter. So she can listen in and she can text me, but she can't hit the chat for some reason. Bringing your favorite flavors together with Gooch and Keys. Yeah. Keys to the recipe.
There you go. Hey.
Is that what you were saying? Send me a text and let me know. She should try frozen peaches or cherries with the peanut butter whiskey. Okay, she says texting me is different than chatting on YouTube. It's different than chatting is different than texting. I don't know why.
Oh, if she can do text to chat or chat to text or whatever like that, or
Oh, and her water, and your water. Holly, I was confused. Why didn't you say in her water? That's just kind of random. Sorry, what was that, Gooch?
I just assumed like she can probably do chat to text on the phone and not.
Oh
Really
yeah, she just said voice text is ridiculous. Voice text is ridiculous. Oh, and it seems like voice text is I don't know about you guys, but it seems like voice text is getting worse. Like my voice text creates words that I didn't even know existed. And it's like, okay, if you're really listening to me and recording everything I say for the last 3 years, you should know that this isn't my vocabulary and this is like a made up word.
Yeah, I don't use voice text very often because of that reason right there.
Because it doesn't understand black. Is that where you're going?
No. Just what Holly said kind of fixes it. Got in too much trouble by not proofreading.
Oh yeah. Yeah, listen, like I would like to know the dialect that they use for voice text because it's certainly not Midwest. Like they hate the way I say some words. So that's where I was going with that, Holly.
See, the big problem with mine is because I'll end up like I used to voice to text and I would say send or whatever, and then I would be having a conversation with someone else, and the stupid chat would continue to take
Uh-oh.
everything down, and then of course I'd hear it say, "Do you want to send?" And I'm like, "Yes, send," and then I'd go back and read them like, "Oh, that wasn't supposed to be part of the discussion." Oopsie.
Are we talking about the peanut butter whiskey shake, Holly? I'm not big on putting fruit in water. I think it's kind of a waste of fruit myself, but too many topic changes. Yeah, there has been too many topic changes. Sorry. I would put frozen peaches or cherries in yogurt. I'd put them in pie. I'd put them in muffins. Put them in cake. Make a crisp with them, but I wouldn't put them in water. I'm fine with just water, not tap water. And the crazy thing, Holly, is Gooch works for Domino's, but he won't eat Domino's.
Will not.
He's not a true fat kid.
Oh no, I'm a fat kid, bro. I just ate Domino's for so long, I just can't now.
Every food place I worked, Gooch, I ate there till the end. Didn't matter. Burger King, Pizza Hut, Pizza Ranch, Walmart Deli. I ate there till the end.
Walmart Deli would have been awesome. Oh man.
Yeah, there was this lady who worked in the deli, and she would like when it was time to like get rid of the food that had been in there for a couple hours and needed to get thrown away, she would take the whole pans back and start doing dishes, except for she would have those pans back there by herself and she'd start eating the food out of the pans. And she might have still had soap or chemicals on her hands when she's doing it. It was kind of disgusting, but
Okay, that part would be disgusting, but if she was getting ready to wash them, like I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
eating some of that shit too. Like nobody else is gonna eat it. No, it actually is not because of that. Because believe it or not, what a lot of people get misconstrued a lot. Like I actually have people come in and they're like, can you use gloves or this, that, and the other? You know, you guys aren't using gloves, yada, yada, yada. You know, health department, this, that, and the other. Everything inside of a Domino's, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting this right. I'm going to say 90% of the stuff inside of a Domino's is pre-cooked. So in reality, all we're really doing is warming it up. The green peppers and stuff are already pre-cut and packaged, and pepperoni's already pre-cooked because they don't want to run the risk of actually getting somebody, sick. You know what I mean? And so I think the rawest thing, we carry is spinach. But of course, we run that through an oven at 500 degrees. Ain't nothing surviving that anyway. But yeah, it really has nothing. Because in all honesty, if I'm gonna eat at Domino's, Holly, I'm gonna fix my own stuff anyway. Like I'm not letting anybody else touch it. Like if somebody else, like if my friends were to come to me and be like, "Yo, can we get this?" I'm gonna fix theirs because like I know I'm gonna wash my hands in between pizzas and stuff like that, and I can't guarantee that everybody does, even though it's like rules, like it's stuff that we have to do. Like if we are making pizzas and we have to leave, you have to wash your hands when you walk away and then wash your hands before you come back. But I know if I'm doing it, that's exactly what's happening. So I won't let anybody else make mine or anybody else that I know's food, even though I trained them and hired them. I still don't, humans are humans, and if they think they can get away with not doing it, they will. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they think that, daddy's not watching.
fair enough. That's a very fair point. Very fair point. I get that.
But I ate so much Domino's, Holly, when I was coming up. Like a lot of people don't remember, at one point in time, Domino's had like a spinach artichoke pizza, where it was like the dip from wherever you get it from. You put that on pizza and put cheese on it. Like we used to cook our wings inside aluminum foil. Back when, now that was actually pretty good because we cooked them in aluminum foil, but we sauced them first. So you bake the sauce on the wings, which I think was the best way to do it instead of making sure the wings were cooked and then putting sauce on top of them. I just don't like that, but that's how they do it now. Like I'm old enough to remember anchovies going on pizzas at Domino's. You want to talk about the worst thing to put on a pizza, because they actually were legit fresh from the can. You had to pull them slimy things out one at a time and put them on pizza. Ugh. Gross.
And I bet they got really popular after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Green onions, green olives too. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think if you work at a food place, like the food loses some of its magic. Like I understand that. Like, if you see like at Burger King, and man, it's been 20 years since I worked at Burger King. So 22 years. So things are probably way different now. But when you see that flame broiled patty, when you see it and it's just a frozen raw, you know, disc with the waffled pattern on it before it goes through the flame broiler, it kind of loses some of its, specialness. If you take out a frozen disc of dough and when you're proofing a pan, it loses some of its specialness. So I get that. I get, you look at some of your coworkers and they're not the cleanest people around. You don't want them cooking your food, so you don't eat there. Right? It makes sense.
Um, they don't even have the big broiler anymore in Burger Kings.
Oh yeah.
You used to stick the meat on one end of the conveyor, and it was actual flames inside the oven and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, like I went into a Burger King. I go into one for it. I don't even remember. And like I was looking around for it, and I was like, "You guys don't have the broiler anymore?" And they're like, "We haven't for a long time." I was like, oh, "Okay." I don't know if they're fake, Holly, but definitely not like they used to be. Like when you were back in the day and you stuck them on there, you could hear like the juice come off the meat and fall into the broiler and stuff. I think, Keith, how long did you work there?
It was only like 6 months.
Were you ever there when they, at night when they took apart the broiler to clean it and stuff like that? Like,
Once or twice.
it's crazy. It's crazy. That's good times. I enjoyed working at Burger King, man. Like I just did. I was mostly mornings, uh, and I would tear up a sausage, egg, and cheese croissant, at least two of them every day. Like real talk.
Pies. Burger King pies.
The Hershey's pie is a staple. Hershey pie
Oh
is a
yeah.
staple. They used to have the Reese's pie, but they don't have those anymore. I was disappointed because Reese's might be one of my top five like favorite candy things. Reese's. No, Holly, we left football a while ago. Now we're just having fun. This is usually where we end up, just conversating. But people like it, so we just keep it going.
So back when I was a kid, Gooch, back when you were probably 25 the first time,
I am not that
and
much older than you.
and I know that not everyone. All right, maybe you were 10, 15, I don't know. But Casey's had a chili dog pizza. And that might be my favorite pizza that I miss, that like it wasn't on their menu for, maybe 4 or 5 months, if even that. But man, was it good. And it's one of the ones we haven't even been able to recreate homemade, because we do a lot of, we try to make a lot of, restaurant stuff and a lot of our own pizzas. But man, like I swear, as a kid, it was like the best tasting pizza ever. Like they cut the hot dogs in, to small rings, and I want to say they put the refried beans on there. On the bottom of it, they put the hot dogs on there, and then I swear they put like ketchup and mustard all across, and then the cheese. And my memory could be bad because I would have been like 10 or 11 at the time, because I was like in Cub Scouts or something, and someone brought one, to like a meeting. But man, were they good. Sorry, it just entered my mind for some reason.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
holy
good,
crap.
dog. Like you talking about it, I was actually like chili dog pizza. I wish I would have known that. Like that actually sounds good. Like it.
Right?
Holly said she never saw the chili dog pizza, but you know what, Holly? They used to have, and I don't know when they changed it, but Pizza Hut used to have it, and then I found it at Casey's, and I loved it. It was a barbecue beef pizza. Casey's barbecue beef used to be fire. Like I just love that pizza. It's gotten now if you try to get it, like it's almost like just a disc of grease. And it's just like not what it used to be. I used to love that barbecue beef pizza from Casey's.
At this point, I would be afraid. Every Casey's I've been into, I would be afraid to get pizza there anymore. Like every Casey's I know of, one of their cook is like at least one is on meth. And if Dan's with us, let's start singing the meth song to him. But like no joke, like I think their pizzas have gone downhill so far the last few years as their prices went up, ironically. But I don't know. I'll still eat a breakfast pizza from Casey's though. Breakfast pizza.
Used to be fire too. I actually made one of those. Well, not one of those, but I brought nacho cheese sauce one day to Domino's one morning, and one of the stores brought in scrambled eggs, and we used sausage from the store, and we made a breakfast pizza at the store. But now, like I am guilty of getting things like Godfathers delivered to Domino's, but they realize like I'm ordering it, so then we conducted like a drug deal in the back parking lot, and they'll take their car topper off the car and pull in and call me, and I'll meet them outside. And, like they help me switch the pizza from a Godfather's box to a Domino's box so it could be inside the store and not cause any suspicion. And then the crew just eats out of that. Like usually I'm good for meat lovers from Godfather's with some monkey bread and a apple dessert pizza. Crew loves that. Crews love that. I wish Domino's would do the dessert pizza. We'd make a killing in that market, but no, we gotta have the brownie.
Walmart actually doesn't have their breakfast pizza isn't that bad. They I feel like they use like like their dough is kind of like a biscuit. So like the whole breakfast pizza is like on a dough layer of biscuit, which is kind of an interesting switch, change up to breakfast pizza, but Walmart actually has a fairly decent, for one that you have to pop in your own oven and cook. It's not that bad. But then I like pizza in general, so most pizza is going to be right up my alley. I didn't hear what you said, Gooch.
So it still sounds good. Now I'm thinking about breakfast pizza.
Breakfast pizza before you go to bed. Actually, I'm thinking about it. It's pretty...
I'm not going to bed for another 2 to 3 hours anyway because the stores are still open. But
I mean, if you stay up past midnight, does that count as breakfast?
ooh, now we're getting into semantics. That's a good question.
When does breakfast start, chat? Let us know. Midnight? I feel like munchie time starts at midnight.
Yeah, I think breakfast doesn't officially start till like 3 a.m., 3 or 4 a.m.
See, I feel like if you go into a fast food place between now and midnight or 1, for the ones that stay open late, like they just look at you like you're stoned or something, right? Like nobody who walks through those doors in the eyes of the employees is completely sober and not on something in any way. That's my interpretation of it. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying as an employee, if you're working at a place late night and someone comes in, that's the automatic assumption, right? Like, oh yeah, someone's stoned or someone's drunk. And Gooch says, I can neither confirm or deny. Holly says, That would be a violation of his HIPAA rights, so Gooch cannot answer that. Holly says breakfast starts when you're breaking the fast after you've slept, regardless of the time. That's my definition, and I'm sticking to it.
So
I mean,
now, because I'm going to be that guy, if you slept for 30 minutes, is that a long enough breaking of the fast for you to eat breakfast?
I was going to go there. I was going to say, so you can just take a snack and eat breakfast, take a nap, eat breakfast, take another nap, eat breakfast again.
I'm just trying to get it. I'm just trying to get it laid out there, Holly, because what you're saying makes a lot of sense if it falls down into that case. Like if I was to be like, all right, make sure you tell everybody you love them. I'll catch you in the next one, and I slept till 11:30, I could technically eat breakfast.
I guess she said slept and not nap, but yeah. She's going with the technical definition. It's break fast. You're breaking your fast. So Holly's going with the technical, literal definition, which is fine, Holly. I've used that before when people in my family say, you can't eat that for breakfast. Or that's breakfast food. Holly clarifies, you cannot nap, wake up, eat, nap, wake up, eat.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get deeper into this. I mean, when you slept for the night, here's the thing. Like, I don't get to sleep a lot for the night. So my full sleep could be between 4 and 5 hours, depending on what time I go to bed. So then I could eat breakfast. So I'd have to wait till
I'm going to continue
morning.
I'm going to continue with where you're going, Gooch, with the real life example. Because I just told you guys, I grew up, my grandparents lived right next door to us, right across the street. But the street, was our street, basically. It was our two houses. We were only two houses on that part of the street facing each other. And so my grandmother would go to bed, Holly, like every night around 8 p.m., 9 p.m., depending on what Hallmark movie was on, or if there was a Cubs game on, she might stay up, even if it went into extra innings. But generally 8 or 9 o'clock at night, sometimes 10 o'clock at night or later, like I said, without fail, nearly every night, 2 or 3 a.m., she would be in the fridge eating. Was she eating breakfast?
That's a really good question.
I mean, because by then she was getting like 6 hours of sleep, 5-6 hours of sleep. She would eat her snack or whatever in the fridge, 5-10 minutes or so, and then she'd go right back to sleep and and sleep another 4 hours or so, 3 hours, whatever it was. What's our ruling, Holly? Was that breakfast? A nighttime snack. So time does matter. That's a true story, by the way. Like it kind of became a laughing joke. Every night, like wake up, have to go to the bathroom, walk by the window, see the refrigerator light on.
That's awesome. Shoot. All right, I'm gonna have to let everybody go. Keys has got to get up early in the morning. Hannah's gonna be home soon.
Yeah, she's all my ear yelling at kids. I mean, spreading love to kids.
Never thought about it in this much detail. Oh, she's spreading the love? Okay, now I know I really got to get on. All right, Holly and everybody else that managed to be watching us, we appreciate y'all. Obviously checking us out every week. We have fun doing this. I have a lot of fun doing this, especially talking football and random topics. Kind of makes I didn't realize we've been online this long. Like, it's amazing. So we appreciate y'all. I'm hopefully going to have 2 or 3 things done tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. we'll be back next week. Hopefully, Aaron will be with us the whole time, and his pup is feeling better. Thanks, Holly. We appreciate you too. Make sure you tell somebody you love them, especially this holiday season. You never know whose day you can brighten or whose life you're going to change with just a kind word.
Or a smile. Just a smile.
Other than that, take care of yourselves, take care of everybody else, and we'll catch you in the next one. Theme music time.
You got your team, and we got a kingdom. Ready for war, we score and win. We're the Super Bowl champs, the king of the hill.